Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. I've had a lot of people ask me about my watercolor palettes, especially when I did the big room of hoard cleanup and the office tour. They're like, Lindsay, where are your watercolors? Where do you keep your watercolors? Where are your palettes? Oh my word. You didn't get rid of them, did you? Oh no. They are my precious. It is an, I don't even know how to, and I've been debating whether or not to do a watercolor palette tour. I did one a few years ago and it was pretty ridiculous back then, and it's even worse now. But you have to understand that people collect things, right? Some people collect Barbie dolls, some people collect Hummel figurines, some people collect Martha Washington commemorative plates. I happen to collect watercolor palettes. And the wonderful thing about the questionable thing about my mental state is, the wonderful thing about my collection is that not only do I enjoy having the palettes, but I enjoy using the palettes. So it is a collection that I completely use. Nothing is too precious to use in my collection, and I really do enjoy it. Because I mean, the thing with a lot of people who collect things, planning on passing them down to their heirs, and then they sit in a cabinet all the time and they never even get used. And I think that's so sad. My palettes are used. My palettes bring me joy. If my kids want them when I'm dead and gone, they are more than welcome to them. But if they want to pass them along, I don't want them to feel any sort of pressure that they have to keep them. But it's my collection. It brings joy. It's and I think the thing that's kind of fun about it is that they're not all expensive. They're all ones that I enjoy. If I try a paint and I don't like it, I don't keep it. There was one palette that I actually gave away that I ended up rebuying, and I gave it away because I thought, well, this is silly. This is only a $5 palette. Why am I hanging on to this? I'm going to give it to my friend at the preschool. And I missed that palette, and I went and rebought it. And you know, it's there's nothing wrong with liking what you like and keeping what you like, even if it does seem in others' eyes to be a little over the top or obsessive or unnecessary or unrealistic. So I just want to preface this video. If you are not, I don't know, I'd be watching this if you're not interested in seeing watercolor palettes, but if you have a problem with somebody who collects watercolor palettes, then don't watch the video. I'm sharing this with you because I think you might get a kick out of it. I enjoy seeing other people's watercolor collections. It's a source of fun. It's fun to collect them. It's fun to use them. I enjoy having them. And honestly, it's not hurting anybody else, right? My watercolor palette collection is not keeping food from being put on my table. It's not, you know, it's not harming anyone else. It's down here in my filming room. It's not even clutter in anybody else's eyes. So with that, if you want to see some watercolor palettes, this will probably be a long video. I'll try to separate them a bit somehow. I don't know. But if I do manage to find a way to organize and separate these, I'll have timestamps below the video for you to scroll around through, or you can just kind of put it on while you're doing your own crafty artsy thing, and then you can glance up at your computer screen whenever something that strikes your fancy when I talk about something you're interested in, I guess. But anyway, I'm putting it out here because it's been requested, and I like to share things I'm excited about and things that I enjoy. And if you enjoy them too, then welcome, enjoy. We'll enjoy it together. If you have any questions on any of these palettes, please feel free to ask them down below. They're not all going to be available. There were some really cute novelty palettes with actually decent paint in them that came out a few years ago. They're all just gone, except for, you know, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But so not everything's still going to be available. Some things have changed in quality over the years. If I know of any sort of changes or anything of note like that, I will mention it. The other thing that I think I like about videos like this is that it may remind you of something you have in your stash that you've forgotten about, and it might kind of give you that little push to, you know, or that little excitement, like, oh yeah, I had that palette, I wonder where it is, and you go and you find it, and while you're looking for that palette, you find some paper you forgot about, or maybe you find some sequins, or a brush, or something that you totally forgot about, and it's like Christmas. I remember when I was little, and I would be asking my mom for a new toy. She'd be like, go clean your closet. And So it's like, if you want to have a new toy, you got to go clean your closet, right? Because you don't have any space for anything. So, and she did that because she knew when I went upstairs and I started going through all my stuff and I started cleaning, I would get distracted by something and I would start playing with something I already had that I completely forgot about. And that's what happens with us too. Like, we go clean our art studios or our craft rooms and we find these little treasures we forgot about. So I'm hoping a video like this may inspire you to go digging through your crafty stash, your art supplies, that box of forgotten palettes that's shoved under your bed, and you will find your very own treasures, and it will inspire you to create something fun. So my aim is true, my aim is pure, and if yours is too, then please join me on this watercolor palette journey, shall we? All right, you want to see the shelf? I'm going to show you the shelf. There's the shelf over there. I'm going to take everything off of that shelf, friends. Gonna take it all and put it on my table here, and yeah, we'll go through it. Oh my word! I feel I'm already I'm already tired. I'm already tired about this. Oh, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun, and ooh, I haven't had my V8 today. I'm all crooked. Without further ado, here we go. Let's do it. All right, we're gonna go shelf by shelf, and this is the little organized bin I have on the top shelf of my palette bookcase there. And we're going to go through all these palettes first. Now, these I would kind of categorize as novelty palettes, kind of unusual palettes. So let's take a look. And I will let you know if these are available or not, and what their status is, and all that stuff. So this here is an Etcher palette. Oh, you know what? I can also tell you whether I purchased these, what I paid for them, or if they were sent to me for review. Because a lot of my palettes I get sent for review. So just to kind of be absolutely transparent, because you know I might not have necessarily purchased them. So this one is from Etcher. It came empty, and I filled it with my own colors, and it's very well made. It's the Stephanie Law palette. There's my little I filled out the palette chart that they sent, and I laminated it so it would stay nice. This is the mixing tray, which I didn't clean, apparently, which is weird for me because usually I clean out my my stuff pretty religiously. And this here on the bottom is the actual palette. This one, this is an expensive palette. I think it's around $50. And you know, ceramic palettes are expensive. They came out with a newer one that doesn't have so many wells, and I would recommend that one over this one unless you do a lot of miniatures, because I find those to be very cute but very impractical, because the wells are just so tiny. But the artist that designed this, Stephanie Law, does, I think that's her name, does really beautiful paintings, and this is how she likes to work. So I'm sure this is perfect for someone. I like it. I'm glad it's in my collection. I probably wouldn't pay $50 for it. If I was going to, I'd get the one with the bigger wells, but it's nice. I like it. And one thing I will recommend, just kind of like I laminated an extra piece of paper and just put that there so it wouldn't get stuff on the other, you know, the backs of the palette to make a mess. So that's another thing. It's like, yeah, these are really, you know, it's a really thin, you know, it's kind of a shallow palette, lots of wells. It's kind of messy. Almost having two of these would be better, but yeah, I would go for the one, if you're going to get these, go for the one that's got the larger wells. So that is the Etcher ceramic palette. It's not really that practical for travel because it is heavy and it's breakable. Even though it's pretty well protected in this, it's not necessarily one I'd recommend running out and buying. But I like having it in my palette, in my collection. So you'll probably see that a lot in this video. The next one I'm going to share is, this is a little gem. This right here. These are from Mikador / koenor. So let me show you what the logo looks like. It's the koenor logo. This is designed by Mikador Group in Australia. So it's made in the Czech Republic by koenor, but this is the Mikador version. Now, there is a version you can buy of this in States. It's on black plastic. It's got black plastic, but I'm not sure if the paint's the same because I've never used it. These are extremely intense, inky paints. They're almost like what I thought Inktense paints should be like. They're very strong, very staining, very bright, and they are really fun to work with. They're, I would say they must be a type of dye because they are so inky. They come in a set that's got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 6, so 36 colors, or you can get these collections. So they have a summer, autumn, winter, and spring. And I kept those in their boxes, and I kept these nested together. But they're fun. I really like the quality. And as I recall, I mean, they're more expensive than the koenor discs that have the black plastic. But I also think they might be way more transparent, less chalky. The other ones look kind of chalky to me. These are not chalky whatsoever. So I would recommend these, and I would recommend, I probably would buy them again if I ran out of them. But a little goes a long way, so I don't think I'll ever run out of these. They are, they're a lot of fun, and I didn't test to see if they're color fast on fabric, but it almost wouldn't surprise me if they were. But these are the Mikador paints by Koenor. Very nice. I like those quite a bit. This is kind of an odd little selection here, and part of this is because, well, okay, so this is a palette of Peerless watercolors made by a viewer who sent them to me. So it's just kind of like a little travel set of Peerless, and Peerless are watercolor papers, so like paper with watercolor impregnated on them, and you just use a brush to pick it up off the paper. And then so somebody took, because they come in like bigger sheets, and somebody cut them down and put them in a palette, and I thought that was a really fantastic idea for travel. Then another company came out called Viviva, and they release these little, very similar watercolor sheets. They're kind of more of like a dye, and they come out with these for different times of year, and different, they come out with them with different influencers sometimes. They come out with them for like Inktober and stuff. And they're just like, you can tuck these in a sketchbook, grab a water brush, and be all set to go. They're a lot of fun. And I've actually been, you know, reviewing their products since the beginning, so I actually have some older ones here from before they did the new packaging. First they came out with, no, that's one of the newer ones. They came out with, oh, these right here, and these were really compact, but the sheets would stick together. So this is kind of like how the Peerless would come, and they worked fine, but then you almost have to take these out and put them in something like this to get a really good use out of them. So that was the feedback I gave them. It's like, these, you know, you can't, it's really impossible to keep them open. Like I had these little pieces of plastic envelope I was putting between the colors because they would stick together. And so, but I kept these for nostalgia's sake because it's kind of fun to see how things evolve. And then they came out with the ones that had the papers in between them, which were much better. And I have different ones from, you know, I would do a collab with them, and they would send some different assortments and whatnot. So that's why I have those. They also sent they sent me a couple little holders, little rosewood holders that had my name on them, which were kind of fun. And so I thought that was totally unique and unusual, and I've kept those. And one of the things that they added, I don't know if I have it in one of these, but oh yeah, they added a mixing area to the back, which is so useful because that was like my big problem, was that there's no place to mix on them. So they rectified that. And yeah, they're handmade in India. They are really nice people, a really nice company. And oh my gosh, I have 3 of these. Yeah, I highly recommend these if you're looking for something like that. And I'm sure Peerless is good too. The only Peerless I've tried are the ones in this little handmade booklet. I think they're pretty much, they're pretty equivalent. So yeah, it's just kind of fun. They're not very expensive, and they come out with different colorways. One of my favorite types of palettes that have come out over the last few years, I'm going to zoom in a bit, are these folding and fan palettes. So this one here has a mixing space that folds down. Artsy is the one that commissioned this one, I guess. These are made by a company called Superior, and there were a lot of brands that were coming out with these, but now they are really hard to find. I don't know where you can find any of these really unique ones right now. If I do find them, I'll link them, but I've been searching for them because I've had viewers looking at my old reviews trying to find them. So it's got these nice mixing areas here. It's got room for a water brush here, but it actually comes with like 2 or 3 other brushes, water brushes too, but it can store one right there. And then all your colors fold out from the side, and you've got some iridescent colors, and then you've got your standard and pastel colors. Now one thing, and I think this might be a reason why we're not seeing these around so much, is because over time these pans have started to crack. And I don't live in a very dry, arid area. I live in Maine. I wouldn't say it's really humid, but it's definitely not a dry climate. And even with this climate, I'm seeing this cracking. And I think if you were to live somewhere like Colorado or Arizona, someplace where it's really dry, I think these actually would curl and pop out. So there may have been a bunch of returns or something, and that might be why they're not selling these so much. I think if you use them more regularly, this wouldn't happen. Like this one I've used a lot. This is the first one I ever had of a folding watercolor palette. I bought this off Amazon for 20 bucks when it first came out. There's not so much cracking here, so I don't know if they changed the formulation. Like maybe they had to use a different binder because with the pandemic things got hard to find. I'm not sure, but I didn't have any issue with these, and I haven't used these in a while, and there's no cracking. Well, there's a little bit of cracking, but really not much. So I don't know if they've changed the formula or what. That would make sense because I know stuff has been really hard to find, and these have gotten cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So this is one version. I think that's really, really fun. Oh, and when I swatch them out, I make a swatch that is in the same layout so I can see exactly what they are, because these are very transparent colors, so it's hard to tell what the colors are. They're really high quality paints. I have to say they're really nice. So it's kind of a shame that they're hard to find, but I make a swatch like that so I can see exactly how they go. They're so fun. I don't know what it is about novelty palettes, but I just love novelty palettes. This was one from Artsy. And there is a lot of cracking on this one too, so I have a feeling that it could just be a change in their binder, because these definitely crack a lot more. You know, as I'm looking at these ones, I'm trying to think in what order I got these. So this one is probably, this is the first one I got, and there's like no cracking. And then this one, there's some cracking. And then there's quite a bit of cracking on this one. I think this one right here, this one might be my most recent one, or it might be this one. Let's take a look here. This one was the cell phone version, and it came in a velvet pouch with some water brushes. I have the swatch, my little handmade swatch is in here. I, again, made a swatch. Actually, I just swatched the different layers like that. Just make it so you can tell what you have, but it came with 3 water brushes, which I thought was really nice. So let's see how this one's holding up. I think I got this one 2 summers ago, maybe. So yeah, we've got some cracking on there. Not too bad though. Let's see. Nothing's popping up. Like I said, I don't live in a very dry area, and that's where I've been hearing people in dry areas having issues. Actually, this one hardly has any cracking, and this is probably the most recent one that I've got. I guess I should zoom out. So the downside on these is that they do have these kind of newer ones have a pretty big footprint. Like this is a pretty big footprint here. Nice big mixing space though. I love how it looks like a cell phone. I think that's so novel and cute. Yeah, I love the novelty palettes. They have little, those little rings. I can't imagine holding it like this. I set it on a table. I like to sit out back and paint with these. And then let's see, this one is a folding one like the artsy one. This one's by Artify. And this is a really big footprint. But it's all the same product essentially. So you just pick the format you like the best. So I just made a swatch like that that folds up just like the palette does. And let's see how this one, oh, this one's cracked a lot more. And this one's newer. This one's newer than the artsy one. Look at all the cracking on this one. So, you know, I'm thinking, look at this though. Okay, let's compare. Because these are all manufactured by the same company, or they're white labeled, I should say, by the same company. So like, look at that. This one is just like peeling out. Look how cracked that is versus this. Yeah, I would bet that they changed the binders, because we'll see in another palette that we're going to come to where, and I'll mention it because the palettes got way cheaper and then people are noticing problems. So, and these did get a lot cheaper, so I'm thinking that they probably maybe used dextrin or some sort of sugar binder instead of gum arabic, and that's what's causing this, like these to be kind of flaky and maybe even underbound. I think, like I said, if you had one palette and you used it a lot, you probably wouldn't have as much of an issue, but I mean, it's such a thin layer. I think this, you know, these are gonna, you know, kind of break apart if you lived in a really dry area. I'm not sure. I hope that's showing up on camera. I mean, this pink one especially, this is just kind of curling right up, and that's something I heard people like when they've looked at my first reviews saying they got one but the paint just curled and popped out, which didn't happen to my original fan palette. So I would say either a dry climate or a change in their binder. So yeah, this could be why we're not seeing them anymore. Maybe maybe they just got too much bad, too much, you know, maybe they changed for the worse and then had too many returns, so they decided not to keep selling them. So I showed you my original fan palette, and what's this one? Oh, you know what? This is the one that's kind of was the first one. Now, this was kind of funny because when I started seeing these fan palettes advertised on Instagram, they were one of those Instagram art products. They were selling for like $80. So this one was like selling for like $80. And I was like, So I like tried to think of different ways to describe it. So I went on Amazon and I searched like a folding fan palette or a Nomad palette. I kept searching. This one was called the Nomad Portable Watercolors. So I just kept searching different ways to describe the thing, and that's when I found this one right here. And later on, a few years later, or probably maybe like 2 years later, Prestigify reached out to, this is when I was still doing sponsored videos, hired me to do a video with their products, and none of theirs have cracked. And so I've got a little bit of cracking there, but nothing compared to the folding palettes. So I'm wondering if, like, to make the prices cheaper so they could be white labeled and sold for much cheaper on Amazon, that they probably you know, spent their money on the plastic packaging and not on the paint. But these original ones are holding up great. These are the Prestigify and the original Superior ones. So, I mean, of course, there is a chance that that another company came out and was like copying Superior, but the numbers are exactly the same. This is CO1 here for white, this is CO1 here for white, CO2 for yellow, CO2 for yellow, you know, CO4. So, I mean, well, that is CO2 and CO3. This one is CO1 and CO3 and 4. But anyway, yeah, I mean, like, the color coding seems to be the same, the printing seems to be the same. I mean, so very similar. So I don't know. That's my hunch, is that they're all the same. They're all from the same company. I mean, even right down to the plastic. I think that's a little too. That's a little too suspect. Anyway, but the quality was great, especially in these original ones, and I think the paint the painted out right, even on the ones that ended up cracking. In the palettes, they still painted really well. So, yeah. But I have reviews of all of these on my channel if you want to check them out. And so that is our first batch, our novelty palettes, and I'm going to put these away and go get another batch. All right, I'm going to keep just going in the novelty palette realm because I don't really know how better to organize my thoughts here. This was a gift. This is a little Artix bamboo palette. It came in a Christmas gift from Artix last year, and I just have some half pans that I don't have another home for at the moment. They were, you know, sometimes you fill extra half pans and you decide not to keep them in a palette or whatever, and they're just in there. This isn't the most practical palette. I mean, I guess you could mix on that, but it's really not that practical, I gotta say. I think you can find this on like AliExpress for about $10. It's cute. It's cute. I like it, but it's not super practical. You kind of need a mixing spell in your mixing area, and your palettes are gonna jiggle around as well. Even if you put, you know, 4 across, there's still extra room. So it's kind of tricky. You could use a little poster putty under that. This one here, this is a portable painter bag, but that's not what's in here. This is a really cute little palette that I found on Amazon, and I've seen these for like $14. I think I paid $19. This one, I think they have better options now, but this one, I had to actually resin the mixing area because all it was wood, and it was spray painted, and all the little wells were spray painted. And I put Sennelier paints in here. I got the set of 12 tubes, plus I had some random tubes, and I just, I filled this up with Sennelier paints, and it comes with little clips, so you can clip it to your sketchbook. I think this is really cute. It's practical enough with the mixing area. I recommend it, but I wouldn't pay I wouldn't pay $20 for this one again. I think it was overpriced for the quality of it, but I'm sure you could get this in a really high quality version on Etsy, or, you know, pay 15 bucks to get the cheaper one. They have ones now that have plastic insert pans for $14.99 on Amazon. That's a way better deal than what I paid, but still, I don't regret it. It's really cute, and I got my Sennelier in there, and I just put it in this, I made a little swatch of my colors, and I put it in this little bag here. So there's that one. I haven't really given it a good test out yet. I think yeah, because it took a while for those Sennelier paints to dry, so I never got it out with it this summer when I filled it up. So definitely, maybe I'll go put that in my car. I'll leave it out and put it in my car, so I'll have it because it's so nice and compact. This next one is really fun. This is a Zen Art Supplies Art Nomad watercolor travel system. The thing that's really fun about this is that it comes with 6 brushes and a pencil, and it comes with its own swatch, and it has 26 colors. So I think 26? Yeah, 24 plus 2 extras and a little sponge there. It is kind of awkward in the fact that it's really long, but it's got mixing areas, it's compact. The paint has a slight odor to it when you use it. It kind of reminds you of like art class as a kid. It smells kind of like tempera, but they're quite translucent colors, very bold. I would say they're for sure dye-based, but they're a lot of fun to use. They perform really well, but I'm sure they're gonna fade. They're like sketchbook work only, but they're a lot of fun. I think the quality is pretty good for the price. I think this one retails for around 40 bucks. They sent me this to review though, so I did not buy this, but I think it's definitely worth it, and I would honestly say it's worth it to buy it and ditch the paint and use it for your own paints, because it's kind of a fun setup. All right, let's take a look at this little bin of palettes. This is kind of random. This is my Shinhan PWC palette, which honestly, I kind of wish I did this in a bigger palette because I really like these paints, and this is not the best way to use them, but I was just kind of testing them out. But that's what I have in here, and these palettes are made by Sean's 3D Printing on Etsy. They have little mixing trays and little palettes. They have their own tins, but they also fit altoids tins. This is also Shinhan PWC, but the pastels or the tints. That was a great price on Amazon. I bought this set for, well, the tubes for $82 for 32 15 ml tubes, and this was $32 for 12 15 ml tubes of the pastel colors. Highly recommend those. They're such a great value. Let's see. This is Marie's Masters watercolors. I actually have another palette that I made for them. I bought 3 colors to test them out, to review them, because I had requests to, and I paid $2.50 per color. And then my friend Ophelia, who actually does some work for Jerry's Diorama, she sent me a bunch of the other colors, and I just took some leftover packaging and made a palette for those. So let's see if I can get this open. This was a box that some mechanical pencils came in. This was packaging that came with some markers, and so I just cut it down to the right size. I squirted my paints in there and put a little mixing tray from Sean's 3D Printing in there, and put the my little swatch there. So that worked out really well, and those are Marie's Masters. I also recommend them too. They're a really good value. Now, this is a fun one. This is available in both the Cotman watercolors or the professional watercolors from Winsor Newton. I bought the Cotman set because it was on sale for like $21. And I refilled it. I put different paints in it. But this is a neat little palette. It comes with a little brush I don't really love, a water flask. This water cup attaches to the palette like that. And it's got a couple fold out mixing areas, and it comes in a little sponge. And I put Regina's watercolors, Regina's watercolor half pans in there, and a couple of White Knight full pans in there. And I think there's one, I think that is Winsor Newton, might be a Cotman ultramarine in there. So basically, I just kind of made it a little more useful, because the watercolors that came in the Cotman set were not the best for mixing or whatnot. I don't know why they chose the colors they did, but if I was going to get this again, unless I got a really good deal on the Cotman set and could swap out the colors like I did here, I would go for the professional set if you can find that at a decent price, because the palette is really neat, because you just kind of pour the water from there and fill it up. in your little cup and use that little brush. The brush really is kind of too small to be that useful, but I don't know. I've always wanted this palette, so when I saw it on sale, I just couldn't resist. It was, yeah, it was a splurge. I'm glad I bought it. And it's just so cute. It's so cute and small, and I just have a thing for travel palettes, so I really, there's no excuse. I just wanted it. This here is the Neon Colors from Paul Rubens. They sent me those as part of a thank you gift, or it might have been Chinese New Year gift. It was they sent just like a kind of a surprise gift, and it was in there. And I put them in another one of the Sean's 3D printing tins. I don't think I've reviewed these. Honestly, I made the palette and then let it to sit up, and then just kind of forgot about it. So I should review those because I don't think I have. So that's what's in there. I like to I prefer to work from dry pans, so that's why they're like that. This is probably my favorite. I think this one is. If the paint palette in here is what I think it is, I better check. You know what? I think this is an empty one. This is an empty one. My actual one I actually use is in my travel bag. I'll have to go get that. Oh, you know what? Oh, that's stuck on there, isn't it? Okay, let me just, these are actually all empty palettes. This is another Sean's 3D printing palette. I haven't filled these yet. That's an empty one too. That's an empty portable painter. This is one my friend Rosie made me. It's just a little business card holder palette, which I haven't figured out what I want to put in there yet. Usually, this is 15 colors, so that's kind of an unusual amount of colors. If I'm testing out a brand and I was buying open stock tubes, I probably wouldn't buy that many. And if I buy a set, the sets are usually like 12, 24, 36, 48. So I haven't found what to put in here yet, but I think it's a really nifty palette. But these are all empty. I'll show you the full one of this because that metal clip is really stuck on there. That's weird. I don't know what happened to that, but yeah, I'll have to, you know what, I'm going to go find that right now. Here is my portable painter. It was actually upstairs in my living room little art stash. So this is like my favorite, actually, my favorite travel watercolor palette. Oof. So the thing I really like about it is that it's got 2 cups of water. I would rather use water and a regular brush than water brushes. Sometimes I use water brushes though. I mean, that's very convenient, but if I'm going to sit somewhere or, you know, go travel somewhere to paint, I'm going to be there for a while, I'd much rather have a regular palette. So they came out with, like, over the last, I think it was last summer, they came out with these little mini pans here. So you can either get 3 full pans or 3 divided pans, giving you 6 more wells in here. And these will fit in the, like the White Knight Cotman type plastic boxes. So they don't fit in the Sketcher, the Cotman Sketcher boxes, but the bigger ones, like the studio size ones, they will fit in there. But this was such a great little invention. And I do a split primary palette plus yellow ochre and like sap green, cobalt teal, dioxazine violet, burnt sienna, that sort of thing. And then I just throw a few other granulating colors in here, which were really fun to take to Old Orchard this summer and do some, and also to Parks Pond and do some nature painting. I just really love this set. I feel like it does everything I need it to do. I actually could refill some of those colors. I will before the summer anyway. But this is my favorite travel watercolor palette. It is really, I don't think there's one finer. So I do have a backup. These palettes were sent to me to review, and I'm so glad because they're wonderful. They're not too expensive, honestly, for what you get. I think they're, if you're getting the set that have the extra pans, I'm thinking it's $27 for just the palette. But if you want the extra skinny pans, you can get a set that's got those in it too for a little bit more, and it comes with some water brushes and a pouch and all that jazz. But definitely the classic set is the way to go with the extra pans, in my opinion. My favorite palette. There's also the micros, the portable painter micros, and is mine in here? Gosh, I don't even know what's in some of these here. Let's see if this one has any paint in it, because I do have one that's loaded up. Oh, you know what? I think this is an empty one. Okay, we can look at this empty one. This is, look how nice and clean. This in here, I have the double pans. They come with 6 half pans, and I think, and then there's like a set you can buy that's got some full pans and half pans together, but then when they came out with the skinny pans for the classic portable painter, they came out with divided pans for this. So they have ones that are like this, and they have ones that are divided into quarters. I think I have these in my, right here, in my drawer. So you could actually get up to 16 colors in one of these little micro palettes if you wanted to. So there's lots of different possibilities for configuring these, but basically what you do is you attach the lid and a little kind of case to it, and so you have a couple mixing areas. You could put water in there, but generally I think you'd use these with the water brush. Now I saw a really cool tip from Sarah Burns. What she does is she just takes this. She just brings this part and she leaves this home. So I mean, that's another way to do it too, especially if you're bringing a water brush. So lots of different options. I don't find this to be as useful as the classic portable painter, but it's definitely, it might be for you depending on what your needs are. Let's look at mine that's filled up, and I have taken this on some different trips and it's worked out pretty well, but I don't feel like I'm using it to its best abilities. But I will show you what I have in here. I have kind of an alternative palette color combination here. I have a big pan of ultramarine blue, and I left lots of space so I can mix up big washes. This is kind of my coastal palette. I took this out on a whale watching boat, painted some puffins, that sort of thing. So I have burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, cobalt turquoise by Core. It's either the teal or the turquoise. I think it's turquoise because it's a little bit greener. I've got I think that's gamboge and Quin Rose. So this I find to be a very versatile palette. I find that I can get really good mixes with this, and it works pretty well. I use that with a water brush. But yeah, so I mean, everybody's different. These are, I think, around $18. They're less than the classic. I don't think I have the lid on. This is still kind of awkward to me. You can use a binder clip and clip it to your sketchbook, which I haven't done yet. But yeah, I like it, not as much as some others, but some people really love it. I think it just, everybody's a little different, and we're all gonna like different things. This was another fun one from Sean's 3D printing. And full disclosure, he sent a bunch of different things to review, and it's a little altoids tin that has 6 half pans in there, and then a little rack with a mixing area. So it's kind of neat. Feels really sturdy. His mixing areas are all resined, so they clean up really easily. So it's kind of fun, kind of neat. I haven't done anything with that one yet, obviously, and this is another empty one, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, with closer to full pans, closer to 12 full pans, which I haven't figured out what I want to put in there. But I always like to have these empty palettes handy because, you know, when I'm testing out a new set of paints, I need to have something to put them in, and that's what I use these for. So let's see what's next. Oh, this was a unicorn. This one I was so excited to get, and I really hope I stored it the right way. It's got pluses and minuses, I've got to say. It's not perfect, but I've wanted it for a long time. And that's the Whiskey Painters palette. And I'm actually not sure if they use the actual Whiskey Painters palette or it's just that style of palette, but it is the Schminka Horadam, which is their artist grade line watercolors. And I did add to this because I had some Schminka Horadam in tubes, and I honestly did not love the paints that came in the set. Oh, I have a feeling these have migrated. The thing I found with these is that they are kind of sticky, and so if you don't store them flat, then they tend to, the ones that came in the set tend to migrate, which is really a shame because this is meant to be a travel palette. So it's got like a little bijou box. It comes with 8 colors, and like I said, I added 4 more in the center. And so you fill this up with water, and then you can pour that into your mixing area there. I left mine empty. I have a feeling, oh man, I'm seeing some corrosion on this already. That's kind of a bummer. I don't know if I'm going to recommend this now because of that. That's really too bad because I'm already seeing some corrosion there. But this hooks on to the end there. You've got 2 wells for mixing, and there it's got a little thumb hole on the back for you to put through your finger or whatever. I usually don't use that, but it's there. It's a sturdy, it feels like it's really well made, although I'm a little concerned with the corrosion around the brass here. I just got it last summer, and I haven't used it all that much, and I haven't stored water in it for a long period of time, so that's really a bummer. That's too bad. But it, you know, I got it for the novelty of it, and also I like the fact that you can hold some water in there, pour it in there, and do your painting. It's not as practical as a portable painter, but yeah, I wanted it for the collection, to be honest. It's a collector's item, in my opinion. You can buy them. Oh, and you know what? I'm also seeing, I don't think that's chipped paint, but it does seem to be like it's where maybe some water puddled and it corroded a little. It's acting like oxidized or something. One thing I'll say that I don't like about this is that I feel like the lid is not really that secure. Like the lid's going to hold your water as a mixing cup, and that's why I keep it in the box, because I'm afraid it's going to come off and I'm going to lose it. So it makes me not want to travel with it because I'm afraid I'm going to lose a cap. So, you know, buyer beware on this one. I think it's really nice for a collection, but I also think that it's got some issues. Although, I guess if you have, it seems like it should go on this way. But it almost feels like it's more secure if I put it on this way with the divots to the top. But the divots should line up to the divots in the back, I think. But it feels more secure when I put it this way. So that's probably what I'm going to do. But, you know, buyer beware. I think it's I think it's a wonderful little collector's item, but it's not the most practical thing. The next thing is something that I had to repair, but I do like it. This is the Jerry Q folding swivel palette. And you get a lot of mixing space here. This folds up, and then I have dried down gouache and some watercolors in here. So this is a great travel palette, because I bring water brushes and I can use gouache and I can use watercolors. I got plenty of mixing areas. What I had to do was I had to use the baking soda super glue trick to make a little divot, because that popped off. The little mixing area here broke, so I had to repair that with some super glue and baking soda. But other than that, and I have a video on that, it's kind of hard to explain, but you can find that video on my channel. I really like this setup. I have 2 pans of the white gouache. I just give it a spray, or I squirt a couple drops of water into the gouache when I start, and it works great. As I was drying down the gouache, I took a tip from John Muir Laws. You squeeze the paint in, and then after it starts to form the skin, like a day or 2 later, you press it down, and you can squeeze more and press, and just keep compacting the gouache so that it doesn't crack and fall out. And you do have some cracks in there, but it works. It hasn't fallen down. It's worked really well for me. The pans, I can't remember if this came with pans or not. I don't think it came with pans. I think I had to put my own pans in there. It was $10 anyway on Amazon, and I do think it's a good deal. Just, you know, check out my video on repairing that hinge, because that's probably going to happen. It's probably going to break. But since I've repaired that, I haven't had any issues, and I really like it. I think it's a nice little palette. Let's see. Oh, this is a fun one. This is an unusual palette. This is from Masha's Watercolors. This is a expensive palette. This was a gift from my friend Rosie and Masha. They teamed up together to give this to me. And these are all granulating handmade watercolors, and it's got a little ceramic tile in here. And this is really fun. It's really fun to use with other paints, and unfortunately my swatch is up. I think my swatch must be upstairs because I don't see it down here. But they're gorgeous colors, and yeah, I use them with my regular paints when I want to have like a really oh, that's not satisfying. When I want to have a really, like, a textured background or something. It did lose one of the magnets. I had to re-glue some of the magnets in here, just FYI, but I had to do that with another wooden palette that I had, so I don't think it's really that uncommon. Another unusual palette I want to show you is this one here, and I kept the box it was in because it was just such a pretty box. That's a swatch of colors, so you can see. Some of the colors are granulating, but the rest are pretty smooth. This is by Supervision. And it is just 24 watercolors, and it comes in this unusual little bamboo case. I wish the top was white, because I've used this as a mixing area, but it's hard to see what you're mixing, so you kind of really do need another plate or something to mix on, so that's really too bad. But it is such a beautiful palette, and the paints are really nice too. That my only qualm with this is that the lid is not white, because that would be perfect to mix on. But maybe they thought it would stain, so that's why they made it black. I'm not sure. I think that's kind of a missed opportunity, but the palette is gorgeous, and I think this was sent to me to review, but I think it sells for around $70, and the lid's a little offset, so I don't know if that's on purpose so that you can easily, you know, pop it off. Probably that makes sense. That it would be. Oh, you can actually let the magnet stick to it. But anyway, I thought that was really a really neat palette. The packaging was beautiful and an interesting one for the collection. The paints are nice, but you need another mixing area, so it doesn't make it really as that travelable, I should say. These are interesting. These are like those original fan watercolor palettes I was showing you at the beginning. These are from Viviva. Like I mentioned, superior private labels watercolors for different companies. And I did confirm with Viviva that these were private labeled by Superior. But they put them in a different palette. They put them in a cork palette that they made in their factory in India. And Supervision makes the paint itself in China, but you slide it out of the sleeve. And this is the classic colors. And this one is the spring colors. And you know what? There's not really, I haven't had any cracking with these either. So maybe Superior makes a couple different levels of paints. Actually, this one did break, but it went back together in the pan. This is a biodegradable packaging. I think it's really neat. I don't want it to biodegrade actually because I'm using it, but yeah, it's the same quality as the other Superior paints, and I like them. So I thought that was kind of a unique packaging, and I love to see unique packaging. I don't know. It's probably a little strange, but I like it. They both had swatches, so I don't know where the swatch for this one is. I might have put it in a little envelope there. Oh, there it is. So you can see what you have there. But these are a lot of fun and cute, and yeah, probably not the best. You know, bang for your buck. But they weren't. I don't recall them being terribly expensive. I'm trying to see which one is the spring and which one. I think this is the classic. Yeah, I keep a lot of the original packaging if there's like swatch charts and things like that need to go with it, or if I think it's going to help preserve the product longer. Otherwise, I usually don't keep the packaging. Let's move on to Gansai style paints. This right here is the Shadow Colors, the Japanesque color by Boku Undo, I believe. They have Sumi E ink and color, and they're really fun to use. They're fun to use with the Derwent Graphitin products. There's also a Gansai Tambi graphite set. I don't have it, but I think it's fairly similar. This is the brand new Art Nouveau set from Kiritaki, which I'll have a review coming out, if I don't already, as soon as it comes back in stock, because it's been really hard to get a hold of for people, but I really love this color combination. It's really pretty. Then I have a set of 24, but we'll get to that later because I put it in a different tin. But I do have this set of 48 here. So if you're trying to get all the Kiritaki colors, you can buy the set of 100 and get them all at once. Or you can get this 48 set and this 24 set, and then they have three or four sets that are like, they have a pearl set, a graphite set, and a gemstone set, and an opal set, like a color shifting set, and that would give you all the colors. Plus there's one more white that you could get. But since I have other Gansai colors that are very similar, I haven't bothered to get those. So these are, because I had the 24 set and I was using those up, I got this as a backup, as a treat to myself after completing Inktober last year. So yeah, a little excessive, but I think it's, I really enjoy them, and it was a great price. I paid $46 for this on Amazon, and that price goes fairly often. I paid $36 for that one, so you can see that is a much better deal, but I wanted those new colors. These are the Guakai pans from Paul Rubens. I think these are a really nice quality. I don't like them as much as their half pan metallics, but I like the size of these pans, especially if you're going to work with a big brush. Here's just an artwork I did with them, and there's a swatch on white. They're nice paints. I love the Gansai pans, honestly. I think there's something fun and novel about them. Anything that kind of like just, I don't know, it just kind of reinvigorates you for a type of art, I think. I know I shouldn't need products to do that, but you know, sometimes it's just kind of fun to have something different and new. And I actually do have some other Gansai paints. Why don't I grab those? So this is my my original 24 set of Gansai Tambi, and I put them in this core tin because I really wanted the mixing space. With the Art Nouveau set, that's those kind of like pastel muted colors, I don't really want to mix those. because they can get muddy, but these are such bright colors that I do want to mix them. Now I took these to Denver with me when I was filming a craftsy class, and the dry air actually made a bunch of them kind of crack and fall apart. So if you live in a really dry area, I wouldn't recommend these for that reason, but they're a lot of fun to work with. They're I think they're great. They used to be vegan, but now I think they actually use an animal, like beef tallow in their binder. So if you are trying to avoid animal products in your art supplies, these are no longer vegan. I just wanted to give you the heads up on that. This set would be, but the newer ones are not. I think there was some, I honestly think it has to do with a pandemic and supply chain issues. I think a lot of things changed their recipe during that time, because like with the Superior paints cracking now, you know, maybe they had to go with some other sort of binder. So that's just my my hunch anyway. But I put that in there so I could mix, because that's more of a limited palette, so I do need to mix more with that. These two Gansai style paints came from Prestigify. I did some work for them like 2 years ago, and so they sent these to work with for their videos. And there's like kind of pearl and gemstone colors and golden colors, so very similar to the Kiritaki Gansai Tambi paints. And they come in a nice little plastic container where you can mix on the top if you want to, but again with these you're pretty much kind of using them for special effects and for laying on kind of thickly. But nice quality. I think they're also made by Superior. So Superior makes a lot of the better budget paints. I showed you the Boku Endu ones already. Let's see, what should we do next? I don't know. How about, I'm just going to randomly start pulling palettes here. This is a Zoltan Szabo palette. I think I paid around $11 for it, and I put my Turner watercolors in it when I first started using Turner watercolors. And then, and I still have some Turner watercolors in there, but I was going through some paint tubes, and I had a bunch of Yarka tubes from way back in the day, late 90s, and a bunch of them had hardened in there, so I kind of cut the tube off and I put them in here so I could actually use them. And yeah, it does look kind of like a hot mess. I have used them down a bit, so because like before they were sticking to the lid, I had so much in there. But yeah, they were paints that I bought a long time ago. I really like them, and I just didn't want to see them go to waste. So they're in here, and I like to have a big palette like this. I don't use them much on camera, but they are really nice to have. So that's what's in that palette. Oh, I should probably share my other big palettes while I got that one out. Otherwise, I'm going to forget, because these sit underneath my desk, and I don't often. If I'm just doing that shelf, I'll kind of forget. This is my M Gram palette. These are my favorite watercolors. This is a Jones palette that they're in, and the paints are M Gram, and there's my little color swatch. I got a great deal on these back in the 90s. I think I paid $4 a tube for the 15 ml tubes, and then I've just replenished as needed. You know, buying a tube here and there as I've run out, and they re-wet wonderfully. Great paint. The palette's starting to get brittle, so I used duct tape to keep it from falling apart. And this is my John Pike palette. This was a secondhand palette I picked up in the 90s. It was from actually a student. Her mother had passed away, and she gave me a bunch of her old supplies. So a lot of this paint in here was stuff that was in the palette, and then I've added on top of some of the colors, and so it's fun. It's an interesting mix. I have no idea what's in some of these pans. But it's really lovely to paint with. And this is my custom granulating watercolor palette that I made from paints I already had on hand. And these are the swatches for what's in there. And this is what's in the Pike palette there in the center. So that way I can put this in the center of my Jones palette and know what all these colors are there if I need to. So that works well for me. And these little palettes are, I think they might be my Magello, I'm not sure. They can sit into different bigger palettes like that. I don't think it's what it's made for, but it works really well for that anyway. And I've got another palette like that, so I'll just grab that one next. It's another, like the one of those inserts. I put the, what are they called? Phoenix artist grade paints. They're the same as the Cotman watercolors by Winsor Newton. And I didn't put too much out, but I wanted to test them and do a few paintings. So they're in here. They're fine. They're decent paints. They're, you know, just like Cotman. And they're just in here until I use them up enough to clean the palette out for something else, I think. Oops, and the piece just fell out, so maybe that'll happen sooner rather than later. These paints are really lovely. These are the Paul Rubens 4th generation watercolors. They just came out like a couple months ago, and I liked them so much I put a little bit in pans, then I just topped the pans off because they were so awesome. They're 5 ml tubes. You can get a set of 36 of them for like $79 on Amazon. Now Paul Rubens sent them to me to review. I didn't buy them, but I would. They're definitely a recommended product. They re-wet very well, very transparent, not too granulating. So if you don't like a granulating paint, you'll really like these. The pigment information looks wonderful, and they're a great paint. And my friend Rosie made this palette, so I think she said she used some frames from Dollar Tree and magnets. Anyway, it's a wonderful little palette, and I put these paints in there. And I could probably actually put the palette, the swatch in there. Now, I didn't want to, actually I don't know if that will fit. I used a little CD thing to, what do you call it, one of those CD envelopes. I don't think it will fit in there. No, I gotta elastic it to the outside, but that's all right. I could laminate that and probably fit it in, but for right now, this will do. And this here is a palette I just made this week. It was, I saw this, this is probably going to sound really gross. This whole first aid kit was just thrown away. My husband had tossed it in the trash. I don't know where it was, but I washed it and I put some more of that marker packaging that I saved in here, and I squirted in the Phoenix. No, Superior 24 tube watercolor set. I picked it up. It was like $18 for 24 tubes. I think they were like 8 ml tubes. And so I haven't like reviewed them or anything. I might not, because I think they were clearanced, because they were priced at $35, and then there was a 50% off coupon, and I was like, wow, 35 looks really good for this. And then I was like, really, $18? I couldn't believe it. So I'm like, I'll give it a try just for backups. A lot of the pigment information looked fine. Some of the colors are a little dodgy, but it's kind of an interesting color assortment, and I just couldn't resist the price. So yeah. So, but the reason I saved this first aid kit is because of the white. It's easy to mix on, and I can see the colors. So I just used packing tape to laminate the little swatch card so I'd know what the colors actually were. But I in general like Supervision colors. For, you know, if you get them not too expensive, I think they're decent. Yeah, I don't have a lot of impulse control apparently when it comes to watercolor paints. Now, some of these I'm not exactly sure what's in them. This one might be Turner watercolors. Let's see, I think it is. Yep, Turner watercolors and some randoms. So most of these are Turner watercolors. I did a signature set with Jerry's Autorama, and then I also have some random open stock Turner watercolors in here, and I have a couple Lucas watercolors in there too. So it's just kind of a mishmash of some paints that I bought at Jerry's Autorama and some that were sent to me. And let's see, this is my Sennelier set. This has gone, this went to the Bahamas with me. It worked out really well. The colors reactivate really well, I think. Some people say Sennelier is hard to reactivate, but I didn't find that to be the case. It looks like I've pulled out a couple of colors here, and I'm not sure why. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I guess I pulled a couple colors out of here for some reason. I'm not sure why. It probably was black and white, probably because I didn't need them in there, but there's like sand in this palette and everything. It's kind of a mess, but I love the paints. They work out really well. And I think that might be a Daniel Smith color, but yeah, I think the Senneliers are really nice. They've been really cheap on Amazon recently too, so that's nice. Winsor Newton, this one, this palette I bought back in 2017. I paid $80 or $88 for it. And I tried to order the palette again because I saw it go on sale for $44, but the palette never came and I got a refund on Amazon. But they changed some of the colors up, so I was curious to see how it would compare to this older one. I have added colors to this. I've added Opera Rose. I've added Aurelian, which there is an Aurelian here, but this is a different pigment, Aurelian, and a cobalt, a teal. I added, what was that? I think it's just called teal green or something. Aqua teal, teal aqua, aqua green, that's the color there. But yeah, I mean, it's quality paint. It's your tried and true Winsor Newton professional paint. I'm not as gaga about it as some other people are, but it's definitely a workhorse and definitely a solid brand. If you're, you know, you can't go wrong with it. You can't go wrong with it. I don't think it's the best value in watercolors these days, but it's definitely worth the money. I don't think I don't have any qualms with it. Earth tones are kind of weak, but other than that. This is actually, this is the Paul Rubens Song watercolor set that came in tubes, and I put it in the original Paul Rubens tin because I thought the pink went better with this arrangement of colors. Gorgeous paints. I like Paul Rubens a lot, and I like these tubes more than I liked their pans originally, so I really should use this a little bit more. They're just stuck in there with some poster putty, but wonderful paints, good texture, good personality between the colors, and it's a fun set. These two sets are my Da Vinci sets. These have been out because I'm getting ready to review them. These are the Denise's Earth Friendly palette. I threw these little Saki water brushes from Paul Rubens in there. And these were shared with me by a viewer, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing your stash so I could try them out and review them. And then these are some Da Vincis that I've purchased over the years. They used to advertise in the back of artist magazines, and I would buy their 6-color split primary mixing sets. And I've also added a permanent alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, and a burnt sienna deep to them. And that sap green is a different brand. I think it's my Mary Blue. And I painted this palette because it was just a plain white one, and it had awful PBO watercolors in it, and I kind of needed to cleanse the evil spirits from this palette, so I did alcohol ink and then varnished it, and I just love how it came out. I think it's so pretty. It's got the alcohol pearls in it, so it's all like pearly and gorgeous. So that's actually going to go on the shelf behind me so I get around to reviewing them. This is an interesting assortment. This is some handmade colors from Xanadu Art Studio, some handmade colors that I've made, and some random like Turner metallic watercolors. It's just a real random assortment. It smells great because it's got clove oil in it. From the Xanadu watercolors had clove oil in them, and they just smell really good. So I don't use this very much, to be honest, but they're there. And I bought this tin with like crappy kids watercolors in it for like 20 bucks because I just love the tin so much. I know it was ridiculous, but yeah, so I use it for those. So that's what came in there. Was it 20? Oh, there's no price on here. I can't see. But I bought it a few years ago at the green store. Not green of me, I guess, getting rid of the paints to use the tin, but I like the tin a lot. All right, so here we have a couple sets of Derwent pan paints. We've got the pastel shades. These work really good if you mix them with Winsor Newton Cotman watercolors. I find the combination of these pastels and the Cotmans to be awesome. Really fun together. Not very chalky at all. Lovely pastel set, but I feel like it needs that little extra oomph of something else. And I like the texture of the Cotman with the pastels. I feel like the ink tints with the pastels are still a little bit chalky. You mix that with the Cotmans, I think that like whatever the slippery binder that's in the Cotman paints kind of gives it a better texture, and they work really well together. These are the Graphitin pan paints. I really enjoy these. These are actually, well, I'll show you the Derwent XL Graphite in a minute. Actually, I'll grab them right now. This is the Derwent XL Graphite. They are, I'm not sure, I don't think they're exactly the same as the colors in here, but they're very complementary. So these are big chunky sticks. If you want to sketch with them, you can, or you can just use a wet brush and paint with them. They're just kind of fun and expressive, and they're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I sometimes really like to just break free with something different and, you know, warm up with something like this. But these are definitely a workhorse. These are excellent to use with these Japanesque colors. And I don't have my completed sketchbooks in here, but I did a Edison bulb with these, and they worked really well together to get me the beautiful texture and depth of color in the background. So when you're stuck, try mixing some different brands and different products together and see if you can kind of come up with something new to you. A lot of times the things that you make like that will be similar to products that are on the market to buy, and then you've just saved yourself some money because you've tried it mixing it yourself. These are the Derwent metallics. These are kind of like they're definitely not a standalone set. They're definitely best to be used with other things, like using them with like over collage, like some of these sheer colors you can go over, like butterfly wings, like if you have like collage butterflies or watercolored or ink butterflies, go over them with the more sheer colors. You could use these for lettering or whatnot. They're definitely to be used with other things. They're not that good on their own. There are other metallic sets that have a little bit more punch color-wise, but this is what I'll show you them on white as well. So you definitely are kind of limited here, but as far as just a little special accent, you could even take out some of these pans and put them in other sets to augment them a little bit, like get a little glitter sheen or whatnot. So those are the Derwent metallics. I like their little pan paint sets. It's kind of fun to see what they've been coming out with. This set here was sent to me from my friend Ophelia, who is a mixed media, mostly abstract acrylic paint artist, and she had an extra set of these My Mary Blue watercolors and sent one to me. And I did add my other My Mary Blue colors here in the center. And this is in a really weird assortment, I have to say. So if you ignore what's in the center here and what's on the end, those are the colors. So you've got a bunch of warm colors and a bunch of muted cooler colors. It's just a very odd selection. But once I add the other My Mary colors I have, My Mary Blue colors, I think they're really nice. There's a Terravert in here that's so hard to re-wet. I don't even know why it's included, but they're interesting. They recently have been reformulated to be mostly single pigment colors, or all single pigment colors. So these here are older colors that may be duplicate pigments. I can't remember right off the top of my head. I love their sap green though. So yeah, it's just, or maybe it's tube, I think they're tube colors. I really liked the paint colors were kind of hit or miss, I have to say. I love the quality of the palette though. The quality of the palette's really nice. It's one of the foam type palettes, really heavy duty. Interesting personality with these paints. Really interesting personality. I really should use them a little bit more because they are kind of unusual. They have larger sets of them. And honestly, I think if you are considering this brand, I would read a bunch of reviews and I would shop around. I would look at Jackson's art, and I would look at Jerry's Autorama. I would look at, I'm not sure if Blick sells them, but I know Jerry's and Jackson's have them. And just look around because they're kind of expensive too. I wonder, if they're coming up really expensive wherever you can find them, I would hasten to buy them. I would look at other options because they're quirky. They're a little quirky. But yeah. I would definitely not, I love their Potter's Pink though. I will say that if you're going to want to buy one tube of a color, try their Potter's Pink. They're really nice. This is a little palette that a viewer made for me out of Utrecht paints because I had mentioned wanting to try them. And it was really great, and I'm so thankful she sent me this because I did realize that they're not a brand I would really like to buy. I didn't find them to excel. I liked the Cobalt Teal quite a bit, but otherwise I didn't find them to be a super awesome deal, super awesome value, or super high quality. I thought they were okay. If you needed to, get a tube of paint to get you through a project, they're going to be fine. But they didn't knock my socks off, and I wouldn't seek them out personally. But it's nice so this was perfect to be able to try them. Try before you buy, for instance. These, I am ashamed to say, were a gift and I haven't really used them. These are the Renaissance colors. I swatched them out. They're beautiful, very reflective, but honestly, I just kind of forgot that I had them. I think they're made in the UK. There's an Etcher Renaissance colors, like the name Renee, renaissancecolors.etsy.com. They're extremely reflective and glittery and gorgeous. But I just kind of had a brain fart and haven't used them. I think maybe I need to keep them out of that cute little bag because stuff like that just makes me go blind to them. So, and I think if I store these with my metallic colors, I'm more likely to use them. Maybe even take them out of this and put them in my Handmade metallic watercolor set. So I'm going to set them aside because I don't like that I forgot about them and haven't used them. This is a treasure. I really love this palette. I love the colors. I love the layout. This is Winsor Newton Professional Bijou Box. I got this free with a purchase of 25 sheets of Arches watercolor paper back in the 90s from either Blick or Jerry's Autorama or Art Supply Warehouse. I don't remember, but it came free. And I love this little bijou box with the 4 mixing wells. The colors are perfect. Now they did a solid with these colors. They picked the perfect colors for mixing. You've got a cad red or scarlet, permanent rose. You've got a ultramarine blue, a burnt sienna, a phthalo blue, a phthalo green, Winsor yellow, and a yellow ochre, and it's just perfect. It's perfect. This set I can mix anything practically with this, and I just put a short Prismacolor white pencil in there, and this comes with one of those little tiny useless brushes, so I do have to bring either a water brush, or I usually just use brush and water. But yeah, I love this. I love this little palette. You can't get it anymore. I won't sell it. It's just a wonderful little treasure. It fits in your little pocket with a water brush. It's ideal. It is ideal. This is ideal. Winsor Newton, if you're watching this, please bring this back. It is ideal. It was actually my first introduction, I think, to professional level paints, because I had used, I'd grown up using Marie's China watercolors, not the stinky ones they sell now. They used to sell a better version, and Cotman. And then I got these in that set of arches because I was using good paper, but I was using Cotman and whatever was in that Pike palette that was given to me. And when I got these, I was like, oh my word, these paints are so gorgeous. I just loved them. They were wonderful. So yeah, ideal little set. I hope they come out with them again. This is a one I kind of handmade when the Inktense blocks came out. No, the Inktense pan paints came out. I'm like, I'm not buying those. I have the blocks. So I took some blocks and I actually made a palette with them. And I think they may have changed the formulation of the pan paints a little bit, because the pan paints work so much better than this nasty thing I made. Plus this old Lucas Studio box, just, it's really hard to open, and this is kind of a hot mess, I gotta be honest. They're not even the colors that they put in the pan set. I could probably, I hate to say it, but I could probably throw this away. I have a hard time doing that, but this does not spark joy, and I wouldn't even want to pass it on to anyone else. And I probably will. I don't know, maybe I won't. I don't know, I'm gonna set it to the side. Clutter is delayed decisions, folks. That's what that is. This was super fun. My friend Rosie shared her art graph with me. So she had the art graph Taylor's chalks, and she cut off a corner and put them in this travel palette for me. And these are fun because I'd never used that before. And they're kind of pricey, so I probably wouldn't have bought them on a lark. But I really like them. But I've discovered that the formulation of these is very much like the formulation of the Derwent Inktense blocks. So so I decided that I wasn't going to buy any individual ones because I have the Derwent Inktense and they're so similar, but it was really fun to play with these and I enjoyed them. So that's so nice. If you have, you know, supplies you can share with a friend, it's really great, or two people can go in on one product together. This, I've never used these. They came in a subscription box, but I've heard good things about them. So one day I will use them. They're awful chalky though. I rub my fingers on them, I get them on my fingers, so I don't know. I don't have high hopes, but I've heard good things about them. I don't know. They were kind of in my giveaway pile for, like, you know, a kid's gift or something, but I think I might actually have to use them. Made in Germany. I wonder if they're kind of like the koenor ones. But I've never used them. I don't know. They're there. Here I have a small Paul Rubens palette. This was sent to me from Paul Rubens. Or actually, you know what? No, I think I bought this one. I bought this one because they also sent me one and I gave it to my mom. But I did buy this one because it was on sale for $13 on Amazon and I couldn't resist. And I was thinking, man, if I didn't already have my teaching watercolor kit, I have 20 identical palettes of the Aquafine. And I bought them because they were $10 a palette on Jerry's regular $50. So I bought like 20 of them to teach with. If I didn't already have those, I would definitely buy these for a teaching setup. It's a nice assortment of colors, nice quality, great paints. I also bought the 48 set with my own money. So I have been sent a lot by Paul Rubens over the years, but I've also spent my own money on them too. So I do believe in their product line. It's good enough to buy. Yeah, you know, I do review products as if I spent my own money on them. I tell you if I have or not, though, just so you can decide whether you want to give my reviews more or less weight. But I haven't used them that much because I have so many paints, but I thought it was $13. I couldn't resist the deal. Did I need them? No. But I have sickness. I have sickness, and it is called paint palette collecting. I don't know. No apologies. This is a set that was sent to me by a viewer. This is the Van Gogh Pinks and Purples set. It's a very unusual assortment of colors. I like the Van Gogh paints. I think they're a really great quality student grade paint. I would say they're kind of almost between student and professional grade. And if you're looking at student grade paints, I would definitely recommend Van Gogh. I'd recommend them over Cotman. I also like the Sennelier Le Petit Aquarelle student grade watercolors too. either of these or the Sennelier student grades, I would say would probably be my pick. If you're not quite ready to take a jump to like Paul Rubens, which would be like kind of a lower end artist grade or a cheaper artist grade. But these are great little, this is a great little set. I'm not crazy about the layout of this palette, though. I think there's a lot of wasted space. I do like this little brush they include. But it's funny, I say I'm not a fan of non-standard palettes. I love novelty palettes, but these, I feel like they're so spaced out. There's a lot of wasted space here, and I can't add other things to it. So I'll probably end up taking these out and putting them with other Van Gogh paints eventually, but I haven't gotten to that yet. I found the swatch for the Masha's watercolors. Here it is. Aren't they pretty? I just stuck it in a little cello bag. I wrote the pigment information on the back. These are lovely. These are fun to add to any other watercolor set. And I think like metallic watercolors, granulating watercolors, any of those kind of specialty trendy watercolors, they are not the best on their own. They are the best when you add them in the stuff you already have. So when you add something to your collection, if it can enhance and make your other stuff more useful, that's a good product to add. So kind of keep that in mind as you are, you know, considering putting new things. There, that will fit right in there. It was sitting in the bottom of the box where I had this this palette. So I wanted to show you that because otherwise you wouldn't really see those paints. Those are expensive, I'm not going to lie. This palette here has a kind of a random assortment. This is my little swatch. So you can see they're the granulating watercolors. And I have to thank my friend Rosie again for sharing some of her stash with me. I've got, oh, and Masha sent a bunch of these samples when she sent her watercolors. And so there's a bunch of other like granulating colors here that that I can use, but I can't really keep them with that set, so I have them in here, and I can pull from them when I want to use any of these colors. And the dots actually have the swatch on them, which is really handy, so I can see what I'm going to get. Like this one looks kind of like a Terra Vert, but better than the My Mary Blue one. That's pretty. It's like a rose ash. So here, this is actually also a sampler of the Renaissance colors. Some different ones there. So I'm keeping them in this wax paper because those kind of stuck together a little bit. Or glassine, whatever you want to call it. Feels like actually feels like wax paper. So here I have two Roman Schmal pans, a Caput Mortuum and Shadow Green, maybe? I don't remember exactly. Maybe a Perylene Green. And then the rest of these are Schminka's Ultra Granulating colors, and that is a mix that I made. I took some Potter's Pink that I didn't like that well from Renaissance, not Renaissance, but Renaissance, a different paint brand we'll see, and I had added some other colors to it to make it a little more useful. That's a color right there. But I just made my swatch chart so I would be able to refer to them. That one, I'm not sure what that one is, to be honest. It's that color there, but I don't know where it came from. But anyway, this is another one of the granulating palettes. I'll bring it out when I want to use it with other stuff. These are these super granulating colors from Schminka are milled to give you that extra gritty texture that we all love right now. I wonder how long that trend is going to be going strong, but I like it. I like it. Also, some granulating colors are these Alana Watercolor Creations, or Aliana Creates from Etsy. She also has a YouTube channel where she goes over her whole palette. If you're really interested in these, go watch her videos because then you'll get a lot more information on them. But there's 5 colors in the set. They are kind of pricey. She sent them to me to review, and I think they retail for $95. So they are pricey. They're handmade in the UK. I don't think she makes them. I think she has a company make them for her. But yeah, they're lovely, and I have a review of those on my channel as well. And I just put the pans in the tins they came in, and I put the tubes in with my tube storage. I've shown you my tube storage before on the channel, but I'll just quickly show you how I keep my paints. I put these little bins, these little plastic bins. You can get them at the Dollar Tree, at, I think in a 3-pack. And I put them in these Sterilite drawers. And I have like purples here, warm blues, cool blues, greener blues. Here I have blacks and grays, mostly blacks. And so I have like, I have 3 drawers that are chock block like this, and that's where I keep my tubes. So just for example, and I do have a few sets of tubes that are still in their box because I'm kind of running out of space there, and or they go to a specific palette, so I'm keeping them together. I think I'm just gonna keep on going here in no particular order. This palette was kind of interesting. I really liked these, and I don't know if you can still get them or not, but this is the Paul Rubens. They call them the phosphorescent set, and I don't know why they call it that. It's a weird name, but what this is they probably don't call it the glitter set because they have a set of like metallics. They're not metallics, but they have a very subtle sheen. They kind of remind me of some of the Primatech colors, but they're not really granulating. They're just really sheer, have a little bit of glitter to them. They're kind of like using paints on the Paul Rubens watercolor paper, that glitter paper they have. They're delicate, they're pretty, they're super transparent. They're just really nice paints, and the quality of the palette is really nice too. It's one of the heavier foam style palettes. I like this set a lot. It's beautiful. But it's kind of like a weird little set, because it's like, well, where does this fall in the Paul Rubens family? It's kind of, they seem to be more transparent than their first generation pans, but they re-wet easily. They're very luminous. They're gorgeous. I really like them, but they're kind of an odd little set, and I'm not sure if they're still available or not. I think they were running around $50 for the set of 24. Paul Rubens did send these to me for review. I think they're nice. I really like them. They're fun to use. I used them up on my fun art desk for a summer, and I used them a lot, and I really like them. This is their latest pan watercolors. They're called the Gemstone sets, and I think it's just because of the shape of the palette and the fact that it's glittery. This is what the colors look like. A lot of them are single pigment. They are, you know, a pretty general assortment, good mixing colors, no qualms. They're good, you know. I think there may be some problems in the pigment denotations, like that burnt umber would not be PY42, but that's what it said on the pans. But other than that, I do see that once in a while from Chinese paints, like there'll be problems with the pigment numbers, but that's what they look like. I don't think I like them as well as the first generation of half pans, but they're good. They're good. It just seems like they've replaced some colors since they first came out, maybe. But I like the style of the palette. My palette didn't latch properly, sadly, but you know, I don't know if you'd have that experience. Your palette might be fine. And again, this was sent to me to review. This one I bought for, I think I paid around $62 for. I waited for a sale and a coupon, and I grabbed it and it was on sale. Maybe I paid a little bit more than that, but I think it was around, definitely between $60 and $70 on Amazon Prime Day like a year or two ago. And I really like this set of paints. Some people speculated that these are the same as the Art Whale paints, but I also bought the Art Whale paints, which is a superior set, and they use the same color names, but they're not the same. The quality is completely different. These are much nicer, much higher quality. They're gorgeous. Some colors granulate, some don't. I love that the different colors have different personalities, and they're wonderful. I mean, look at that sap green. Isn't that pretty? The cobalt teal, they're very transparent, very rich, just gorgeous, gorgeous paints. And also, I did buy these on Amazon, and I had one of the colors, I think, had the wrong wrapper on it, and I was able to contact them, and they sent me out a new pan. They do sell their half pans on AliExpress if you do need to replace a color. They're not on Amazon. I think it's because the Amazon listing fees are so high, with every transaction so high, that's why they don't sell the half pans individually on Amazon. But that is something that, if you use these a lot and you kept a list of what you're running out of, I think you could probably make a fairly a good deal buying your replacement pans on AliExpress, so that you could like combine shipping and whatnot at some point in the future if you ran out. But I haven't used these as much as I wanted to. I intend on reviewing this set. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But yeah, I'm happy with my purchase with that one. It's funny. It's like when I'm obligated, when a company's asked me if they can send me something for me to review, then I've entered into not an obligation, but I've agreed to accept the product and review it. So that gets done. But when I buy it with my own money, a lot of times it just kind of sits on the shelf. I don't feel obligated because it's like, well, I purchased it. But I really need to get better about that, because there's a lot of brands I haven't really reviewed, and it's not that I don't have anything against them. I like them. I just, there's so many things on the to-do list. So these paints are the Renaissance tubes, and I have them divided up by, I went by color actually. And let's see, I think this is how it goes. These being let's see, is that three? Yeah, so I don't know if it's all the tubes they offer, but I think it's all the ones they have. The little creative stocks in her Etsy shop. Or it might have been all that they had at the time. This might be all that they have, I'm not sure. So they sell their paints in tubes and also in half pans. Their half pans re-wet very well. I don't see any sheen on my swatches, or when I don't tend to use watercolors that thickly, but I do notice on my overlay swatches, my glazed swatches, they are kind of shiny, and I think that they have too much binder in them. They can be a little tricky to re-wet sometimes, so it does seem to be like maybe just a little bit too much binder. They have honey in them, but like they're not sticky at all. So I have a feeling this brand of paint is just a little overbound, but it is beautiful paint. You just want to kind of watch that. Definitely want to give your palette a spray before you go ahead and use them. Some colors are better than others. There's some colors I absolutely love in this range, and there's some that I'm kind of, you know, meh about. But they are an affordable brand of paint. They run about half of what you'd pay for a 15 ml tube from another brand. So, you know, there's pros and cons. I definitely wouldn't say buy every color. Like that cadmium Bordeaux is really nice because it's a granulating red. You don't get granulating reds very often. The color's nice and clean. They're very clean colors. The Potter's Pink's a little bit weak. I think some of the pigments where they're heavily mineral based, they can get a little overbound anyway, and then their the Potter's Pink just tends to be, I don't know, it's really hard to re-wet. So I don't know. I think it depends on the color. I think you have to go color by color with this line. I really like their it's number 25. I think it's cobalt turquoise. I'm sorry, cobalt violet or manganese violet. I'm not sure, but that's a really nice one. Their sap green's nice. They've got some really nice colors. They got some colors that are difficult to work with. So it's kind of like a it's a little bit, I don't say hit or miss, but if you're going to let the paints dry down in tubes, you want to definitely make sure they're ones that can reactivate pretty well, or use them fresh from the tubes. Their pans are really nice. I was really skeptical with the pans because when I looked at them, they looked like just little chalky nuggets, but they re-wet very well. They had a good movement, and I really enjoyed using them. But going from the pans to the tubes, I was liking the tubes more, but now in retrospect, I think I prefer the pans with this line, because the pans, there's no surprises. They're gonna perform. They're gonna re-wet. They look a little suspect when you first get them because they just look like little chalks, but they're very transparent and vibrant and gorgeous. I mean, look at that red. Isn't that great? Very affordable too. So I guess my opinion would be try a set of the pans, or try some open stock pans first, and then maybe get a few tubes. Yeah, for the price, I think they're decent. I think they're good value. I'm trying to make sure I don't mix up what I've already shown you and what I haven't yet, because I'm going to put everything back on the shelf at once so I can make it nice and tidy. So this set here is a combination of the original 24 set of Paul Rubens, and I put them in this beautiful foam style palette from Meeden. This palette's like 20 bucks, I think. It's gorgeous, high quality on Amazon. It's heavier than your typical metal tin. And then in the center, I put some Daniel Smith colors. I love the Daniel Smith sticks because they're such a great value, and they granulate beautifully for the colors that I picked. The Serpentine, the Cobalt Teal, and the Sodalite, and then I have some Primatex from a 6-tube set. Because I thought that the personality of the Primatex went really well with the personality of the original 24 Paul Rubens pans. So I put things together, like I mentioned before, like the Derwent pastels and the Cotman, they work really well together. I put paints together like in palettes that work really well together, that either contrast, the properties contrast really well, and expand what you can do with them, or they just vibe very well. Like with the Derwent pastel pan paints and the Cotmans, they just vibe really well. These vibe really well. Then sometimes I'll put things together that contrast really well. So those are the swatches of what I have in here. I think that's a gorgeous assortment. I should use this more. Everything I'm saying, oh, I should use this more. So this is good because it's like reminding me of these different treasures that I have. Although I have to say, I'm kind of feeling like I have some sort of like disorder. I don't know what it is. I think it's like I have this fear of scarcity, of like running out, maybe. So I tend to stock up, and I don't know what that is, because, you know, I'm a very fortunate person. Maybe I'm just worried about the zombie apocalypse or something. These paints are a gem. I really enjoyed this set. I used them a lot, and it doesn't even look like I used them a lot, but this is the Rembrandt Artist Grade Watercolors. The tin's kind of flimsy, I gotta say. But this set, I picked this up on Amazon, I think it was back in 2016 or 2017 for $134. And it was a great purchase. I have no regrets. I've done a lot of paintings with these. A lot of the live streams of really realistic fruits and flowers I did back in, I think, 2017 were done with this palette. And I really like it. I spilt water on it, so some of these like really puffed up, but they're not sticky or anything. Rembrandt is the artist grade paint from Royal Talons. Their student grade is Van Gogh, or I would say their semi-pro line is Van Gogh, and then they have Art Creations, which is their student like basics budget set. And actually that set's not that bad. So man, Royal Talons really is underrated when it comes to watercolors, because even their arts creation watercolors aren't bad, but their student grade Van Gogh is really semi-pro. It's a beautiful paint, and this is gorgeous. I love their pro paints, and I like their tubes too. I have quite a few of their tubes that I just refill palettes with, and they're just wonderful as well. I hope, I apologize for the water pump going. My son is home doing some laundry, and I'm just going to keep going because otherwise I'll never get this filmed. And a lot of you guys, many of you just say, no one ever says they're bothered by it. Everyone's like, just keep on going, it's not a big deal. I don't know why I feel like I need to acknowledge it, but anyway, we all have our problems. We all have our insecurities, right? That's one of my insecurities. Also, my insecurity of being judged about how many watercolor palettes I have. I'm letting it all hang out today, friends. It's all hanging out. It's all hanging out. You guys get me, right? Furnace is gonna come on too. Oh my gosh, the noises, all the noise, all the kids and their toys, and the noise. Oh lordy, this is a paint set. This is the Lucas set of 48. I purchased this, probably 2016. Boy, I bought a lot of paint 2016, 2017, somewhere where that little, I bought a lot of paint that year. I think there must have been a lot of good sales. But I paid $114, $114 on Jerry's Artorama for this set. And it was actually, that was probably 2016. I think I bought this before the Rembrandt set. And I was just like, oh, I hope it's really good. Because I don't think I had bought a set of 48 artist grade watercolors before, because they're usually hundreds of dollars. But I'm like, I've heard good things about Lucas. I'm going to jump in. I had I tried their, I don't know if I tried their 12 set, because at some point Jerry's Artorama sent me the 12 set of Lucas watercolors. And I don't know if it was probably before this. I don't think I would have bought this set unless I had tried their artist grade paints yet. So Jerry's Artorama was like the sole distributor for Lucas in the United States. I don't know if that's still the case or not, but they were. Since then, Daler Rowney has purchased Lucas, and their quality has gone down. So I'm not necessarily recommending you buy new Lucas colors, because I think, especially on some like the Cobalt Teal, look how gorgeous that is. I bought a tube of that to refill. It said it was using PB50 on the website. When I got it, it was PB28, and it was very chalky and dull, and I was so disappointed because that's such a gorgeous color. If I could get that, man, because their paints are very affordable. So this was $114. I haven't seen it that cheap since. I have seen their woodbox sets get pretty cheap, but I don't know if it's the new stuff or the old stuff. If it was the old stuff, I'd be tempted to buy the full set in the woodbox, because it was like 150 bucks. But not knowing, I'm not going to risk it, because I don't want paint that I'm not going to use. But anyway, these paints are lovely. Lucas has a very subtle, personality, and it's not going to be the in-your-face super bright colors, but it behaves like your traditional watercolor. Some colors can be a little almost chalky feeling, but I wouldn't really call them chalky. But they're almost like a little bit matte. Like there's no gloss. You're not going to get a glossy spot anywhere with these. I don't think they're underbound though. They're just a very delicate feel paint. They have a kind of a more matte, not chalky, but matte finish. And I pick Lucas when I'm doing portraits. I love Lucas for portraits. But anyway, their colors are lovely. They're like they're Verona green. I feel like that's what that My Merry Blue Terra Vert should be. Yeah, but I can't recommend them anymore because I don't know what's going on over there in the Daler Rowney factory where they've been purchased. I think it's Daler Rowney, the people that own Aquafine. But anyway, yeah, I've really enjoyed this brand. I've really enjoyed this palette, as you can see. and I'm glad I bought it, but I probably won't buy any more because I got burned on a tube that I bought. So it's just such a bummer. If I could guarantee to get old stock, like if you're on eBay and you see like a 20-year-old Lucas palette, I'd be like, yeah, go for it. If you're buying it brand new, I'd be careful and just make sure. I'm sure some colors are fine, but I think they've probably switched to cheaper pigments for certain colors, like the cobalt teal. And I'm sure there's other ones they've just switched to cheaper colors, and that's why they're not as good anymore. But I'm happy with this set, and as I use it up, I'll probably refill with a different brand. I'll probably refill the cobalt teal with Daniel Smith because they use PB50 and it's very similar. Or Core. Core's cobalt teal is gorgeous. It's not going to have the same personality as Lucas because Lucas is just a very subtle, delicate. It's great for doing vintage style paintings, and it's just a really lovely, lovely paint. Next up, I have another really great deal on watercolor here. This is the Rosa Gallery, and I think the prices have been going up a little bit on this because it's gotten a lot more popular, and also possibly due to the war in Ukraine. But this didn't all come together. I originally bought the set of 12 for, I think it was around $15 on Amazon, and it was a really great set. I did feel like it needed like a more cooler pink, because I had kind of like a madder red that was a little bit bloody, that I just felt like it needed a little bit sweeter of a cooler red, like a pinker red. But overall it was a fantastic set. And so then because I liked it so much, I bought the modern set, and partially was due to a recommendation from Kimberly Crick, who said that their magenta and their cobalt teal were gorgeous. And she said she like bought extra pans of magenta from a seller on Etsy. So, and that's another thing. You can always check Etsy for open stock pans for some of these sets that are from outside of the US if you live in the US. I think the same seller that sells Rosa also sells the White Knights watercolor. I cat hair in there, I apologize. But anyways, this sat up upstairs on my fun art desk for quite a few months, and I was using these a lot during the summer. So I really got to know the feel of them. I think you really can't go wrong with these for the price. They are kind of similar to White Knights, but I feel like they have a little bit different of a body feel to them. They mix really beautifully, they layer well, they're just a gorgeous paint, and they are a wonderful value. So the set of so I bought the set of 21 modern colors that came in this blue tin, and then there were some duplicates. So I took the colors that weren't duplicated in the 12 set that I bought and put them in here, so I have all unique colors. And I did add like I think this is, let me see, My Mary magenta, My Mary Quinn magenta probably. And I felt like even with the magenta that was in here was a little too purpley. I still felt like I needed a clean pinker color, so I added that in there. But overall, wonderful paint. Some of the earth tones can be a little bit weak, and I found the same thing with the White Knights paint, so I don't know if it's something with the pigments that are available in that area of the world, kind of the Eastern European, Asian area, but I did find that the earth tones were a little bit weak. But other than that, really happy with these paints, and I don't think you can go wrong for the price. The palettes, pretty standard. I'm kind of finding a lot of these 48 palettes to be a little on the flimsy side, but they get the job done. I don't need I don't need a super sturdy palette, honestly. I mean, they're just holding watercolors. It's not like I'm building a tank here. So anyway, definitely recommend those for the price. I don't even know what to pick next because I have so many palettes in front of me, but I guess I'll keep going through the artist grade ones because I think those are probably a little more interesting to you guys. Feel free to skip around if you need to. I'm trying to be as organized as I can, but yeah, I know I'm not that great. I just have so many, and there's so many different ways to group them. Do I group them by novelty? Do I group them by size? Do I group them by quality? I don't know. This is a random assortment of Daniel Smith paints. Let's see. I have personally purchased the Essential set of 6, which is your split primary color palette. Highly recommend that set. I get it on Amazon because it's like half the price on Amazon compared to a lot of the artist shops. Although Blick has been matching a lot of prices though, so check Blick too. And then I also bought the set of Primatex, which I don't recommend the set of 6 Primatex. They're hard to re-wet. I guess you can use them straight from the tube, but honestly, they were a bummer, especially compared to a lot of the other super granulating colors and interesting mineral colors out there. I really would give that's the introductory set of 6 anyways a pass. What I would recommend was go to the Daniel Smith sticks, and I've got some sliced in there. And I would buy those Permatech colors in the stick form because you know they're going to re-wet because they're already formulated to be dry, whereas out of the tube they might not re-wet too well. I also purchased, so I purchased the sticks. I purchased goethite, which is okay. I have it there in that pan. It's basically a granulating yellow ochre or raw sienna. It's really not anything to write home about, but it does have some really good granulation and it does re-wet pretty well. And then a viewer sent me a few random tubes that they had, like buff titanium. That's probably a color I wouldn't purchase, but I think it would be handy for mixing muted tones, not really pastel, but more like a pastel muted or like a grayed down, desaturated muted color. But a lot of people really like it. It's funny, a lot of people that are so against using white in watercolor will use buff titanium until the cows come home, and it's basically just an unbleached titanium white. So I get a little irritated by, you know, the holier than thou watercolor painters that are like, I never use white, but I've got buff titanium in my palette. Give me a break. Come on. You know, someone thinks their poop don't stink. But anyway, I say you do whatever you want to do with your watercolor paint or your art in general, because it's your business, nobody else's. Cost you $0 to worry about your own self. And yeah, I mean, I think Daniel Smith makes a lovely quality paint. I think sometimes they're a little overhyped, and I think, you know, the whole thing with them boosting their Permatech colors with other pigments and not disclosing them on the tubes is sketchy as heck, you know? I mean, yeah, so because of that, they don't get a lot of love from me, but I use what I have. I enjoy them. I think they're good quality. I have some Daniel Smith in my portable painter, which I use all summer long when I plein air paint. So those are definitely workhorse colors, but the Permatechs I'm a little cautious about, and I would go with the stick form just because of the re-wettability issue, and don't believe everything you read on the Permatech labels because they don't want to tell their secrets. And, you know, it's common courtesy if you're going to have an artist grade watercolor company that you disclose the pigments. And if you don't want to do that, fine, but you're going to lose some customers. And that's your prerogative, and I got my prerogative, and we all have our prerogatives. And hey, Daniel Smith is a company. They can run it however they want to. I'm not going to tell them how to run their business, and that's fine, because, you know, everyone's going to do what they want to do. You live your life. You go live your life however you want to live it. These are actually really wonderful paints. These are Mission Gold. This is their perfect pan set, and recently I've seen some pan sets come out that are just like your standard half pans that are in a really unique palette, which has been very difficult to resist buying because it's actually a pretty good deal. They have this set of 48 half pans in a really interesting palette that swivels out, and it's $100, which isn't bad for 48 half pans. I've heard that the filling is a little sketchy, like all the colors aren't filled up to the same amount, so I don't know. I haven't bit the bullet because I have this and I have the 24 pure pigment set in tubes, so I've been able to put the Want Monster in its cage. But yeah, this is a lovely set. I love the mixing palette. It's called the Bulletproof Glass. It's plastic, but it mixes really well. The colors don't beat up on it, and these pans are actually very generous. They're bigger than a half pan, so if a half pan is like 5 ml, these are like 7 ml equivalent. If I'm remembering right, they're like a half pan and a half, so they're not quite a whole pan. They're like 3/4 of a pan, I would say. I can't get them out because they've probably been glued in there by paint. But these are wonderful, very transparent. If you like a transparent, clean color, these are for you. The ultramarine granulates. They do stay a little sticky. They're actually not bad right now, surprisingly. But if you live in a humid area, I would avoid these. Even though I really like them, I'd avoid them. I can't store my swatch in here because they will get stuck to this when these, you know, the humidity changes in the summer and it gets a little stickier. So, you know, they do travel. If I left, and I can't store it on their side because they will travel. And this is one of those palettes where you got half of them are on the top and half of them are on the bottom. You really need to store them straight or they will travel. How many times can I say they will travel before you understand? Do not store it on their side. Do not, I would not go for these if you live in a humid climate, because having half of these upside down, I think the humidity could make them bloop. And you wouldn't want that. But these are a wonderful paint. I guess if you really love this brand, get their like their 36 tube set that comes with a palette. It's like $55 on Amazon, and the palette's flat. So that's what I'd recommend. And it's a big studio palette, so you wouldn't be traveling with it anyway. So if you live in a humid climate, I would recommend that. I don't have that set because I have some tubes and I have this, and it would really be redundant. But I've thought about it. It's such a good deal. But yeah, I like these paints. I like them a lot. I've heard there is some fading issues with some of the colors, but you know, you could research your pigments and do a pretty good job at, you know, choosing the ones that are right for you, I think. But I've had no issues, but I live very far from the equator. I typically don't have an issue with things fading. This is a Lucas 24 set. This was in my signature set with Jerry's Artorama. It's a very understated, I mean, the colors are vibrant, but what these are really great for is, like I said before, mixing portrait tones. They're excellent for portrait. And yeah, I'm wondering if these might be newer. Well, these are newer, but I'm wondering if these may be the ones made by Dale or Rowney now, because the, let's take a comparison. I'm thinking the texture might look a little bit different, because there's at least a couple of years in between. Because when I did my set with Jerry's, it was during the pandemic. I'm trying to see, do they look different? Maybe a little. I can't tell. I can't really tell. But they're great for portraits. They're great for portraits. They're pretty slow wearing, honestly. For the amount of painting, the amount of times I've used this, they do not wear down quickly, which is nice. But yeah, Lucas watercolors. I'm not sure if I still recommend them, but they used to be great. I don't think this doesn't have that color that I rebought and was bad, so I don't know. I don't know. Used to love them, not so sure now. I prefer the Turners to Lucas. I always have. This is a set, and I kept the tubes in this box because they fit perfectly. This is a great deal when you can find it on Amazon for 40 bucks, 40 or $44. I think I paid 41 for this, but 12 tubes of their artist grade watercolor from Sennelier in a nice tin. I mean, actually, is the tin really that nice? It's kind of scratched up, to be honest. Look at that. It's actually, I don't feel the scratches on it, but it looks like, let's see. I put mom spit on my finger. If mom spit doesn't clean it, nothing will. Oh, you know, it's just dirt. Never mind. It's fine. It's just dirt. But anyways, you get 10 ml tubes, a third of an ounce, 12 colors. Most of them are great. I highly recommend it. It was a good deal, and I've just left them in here because then I can refill my Sennelier pans with that. I don't know. I might put them in my tube. I do my tube watercolors, but they just fit so well in here, and I don't have anything I need that tin for right now. So for now, they're sitting in here. Might be silly, but I don't know. I don't know why I do anything. What is life? I'm so confused. Okay, what next? I'm trying to, I think I'm going to keep my metallics together. This one here, this is a palette that I bought. I bought it for the palette. It was Jerry Q watercolor. So I bought the palette to use as a palette because it was hard to find good palettes back then, just empty palettes. And the paints were awful, so I got rid of the paints and I saved the half pans and for other palettes. And then I just actually filled the wells here with Holbein watercolor. And I like the Holbein. I wasn't as crazy about Holbein as other people, but I do think it was a decent paint. I bought the 18 set and I paid $34 for it, so it was a great deal. But you can no longer buy Holbein paints really cheaply in America anymore. At least not on Amazon and sets. You used to be able to, but now they're expensive. I'm not sure why. I also have a pan of liquid oxgall here. I believe it's synthetic, but anyway, it leaks so bad. You can't have it on its side or it will just go all over the place. I've got Renaissance Ultramarine Blue and Sap Green in here because I didn't have those in the Holbeins. They're good. They're good paints. They mix well. They're nice. They're just, for whatever reason, their personality is not what I go for first. But I do think I think they're nice. They're fine. They're fine. I'm not going to pay top dollar for them, but they're if you get them on a deal, hey, go for it. But I don't really get the big hype over Holbein. I don't get the hype over their colored pencils. I don't get the hype over their watercolors. They're good. If you can get them on a deal, I wouldn't, but I don't know. I don't see why everyone's so like gaga over them. All right, so these are Yarka St. Petersburg watercolor. They are the same as the White Knights watercolor. They, oh gosh, I can't say the name, Neskaya Palitra? I don't know. They make several different brands of watercolor. Yarka is one of their trade names where they sell in the United States through Jack Richardson. They're sold under the Yarka brand name. In Europe, they're sold under the White Knights brand name. I think there might even be another one of their artist grade lines, but I know those two are the artist grade ones. This was my first set. Actually, no, this wasn't my first set. I actually got a set of 16 that was in this weird little tin. And then I took some of those and I put them in here, the ones that I hadn't used up. And there's my little swatch there. And over the years, they have gotten better with light fastness. I think these older ones are probably a little sketchy, a little sketchy. But yeah, I really like the paints, and then I went ahead and purchased a sequel set. So this is the original 24 set in the old style palette. And a lot of these are almost completely used up, but I'm keeping them all together. These are a very sticky paint. I wouldn't recommend them in a humid environment. And so this is a sequel set. I purchased this on Consumer Crafts for $41, so it was a great deal. And they keep them in these big, they come in these big sets that have room for extra. So this is a 24 set, and then I had some tube Yarka paints and I put them in those little half pans there. And I took out some of the tubes because they were duplicate colors, and I put them in another set. So that's why you've got some cutouts on the swatch. I know, it's a little bit neurotic. But, and this one here I believe was branded under the White Knights label, and I put those, the ones I took out from there in here because they were colors that weren't in this set. But they're essentially the same, they're the same things. I'll show you here side by side. But there were different colors in the sequel set. I think there might not have been duplicates between the original and the sequel. So you can have a gander. They're the same palettes. You actually have room for a paintbrush in here if you want. And yeah, and they also have some metallics. I put them in there, but they're very sticky. You got to make sure you hold them, you store them flat, and I think they're lovely. I really think they're lovely. And you can go with either, whichever is easier to get. And yeah, they're made in Russia, so you know, if you don't want to buy Russian products, then it's just important you know that. I'm sure the people making the paint aren't the ones starting the war, but you do you. I'm not going to judge you. Please don't judge me. I think, oh, this palette here is kind of a mishmash. I like this. This is a Pro Art Supplies palette. I picked this up at local paint store many years ago, and it's held up really well. It's that nice thick non-brittle plastic, and if I could find more of these, boy, I would recommend them because they're such a nice quality plastic. This palette has been on so many adventures with me. It's been in so many canoe rides. It's been out of canoe rides with me. It has been on adventures, and I just love this palette. I couldn't tell you what's in this palette. Really, honestly, I really can't. I could guess. I know these are core colors here on these little makeshift pans. I think that is a Yarka color because it dried in the tube and I had to peel the tube off of it. I've got some Academy, oh, that horrible chrome oxide green, which actually looks pretty and granular there. You know, even a color that you don't like, that's kind of ugly, if you mix it with a bright other colors, it works. But anyways, it's a big mishmash of different brands, and this was my travel palette for quite a long time, and it has a lot of good memories. So yeah, it's a great palette too, great size, not too heavy for traveling if you want to, but yeah, it's gone out of a canoe a few times. I'm surprised it hasn't molded or anything, but great palette. I like it. Pro Art Supplies. If anybody knows if you can still get this, please let me know. I think I'm pretty sure I got it at Penobscot Paint. It seems like I've seen this brand at like AC Moore, but there's no AC Moore around either now. But great palette. It's funny, some of my favorites are just the ones that I've made up on my own. All right, this one, I believe, oh gosh, I don't know what's in here. Let's see. This is, this is the Shinhan Professional, which is actually their student grade line. The Shinhan PWC and SWC is the professional range, and the Shinhan Professional is actually the student range. It's actually a great paint, really nice for the price. It can be a little bit chalky and opaque, not too bad, but a little bit. You definitely can see some residue sometimes in the colors, but for the money, at least, I think I paid $24 for 28 colors. I think they were like 8 ml or maybe 12 ml tubes. Probably 8 ml. You know what? Let me see if I can grab one. I'm just looking because I actually did keep the tubes. I didn't get rid of them. Oh gosh, I don't see any right off the top, but I'm thinking they're probably like 8 ml. They're a decent value. I have to say though, per ml, per like ounce or whatever, I think they're about the same as the PWC and SWC, so I would go with them. But a great little starter set if you're looking for something like that. And I just put them, this is a Dr. P.H. Martin's palette. I cut it down and put it in the core, old-fashioned core tube, core tins. Unfortunately, they don't sell the 6 color assortments of core in these tins anymore, but they were great when they did. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find my, I have another tin of these with core paints, but oh gosh, hopefully it's over here somewhere. Hopefully. This one is my Mission Gold tube colors. These are very sticky, so I can't store the swatch in here. These little palettes, I really like them. They're nice. Again, I cut it down to fit inside, and these are all the pure pigment Mission Gold colors. They're a wonderful value. You can get a set of 24 for $61 on Amazon. I highly recommend that. Their bigger sets are more expensive per tube, but if you're not sure and you get the money for the 24 set, I highly recommend it. It's a great set. And yeah, just be careful if you're humid, because it is a sticky paint. All right, where do we go from here? Oh my gosh. I actually think I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll keep on going through more paints. Moving right along, I have the core watercolors here. This is the, if you buy the 12 set, I think it is, you get this tin. So it's not hinged, but it is big like the other one. So I just wanted to let you know that. I think it was the 12, because they have a bunch of sets of 6, and then they have a set of 12. Do they have a set of 24? I don't know. Gosh, I don't know. But those sets, those introductory sets they have, are the best bang for your buck. I will tell you that. If you want to start with with one set to just kind of test out core to see what's different about them, what their unique features are, I would say go with a high chroma set of 6. I think it's around 25 bucks, 26 bucks, somewhere around there. Comes in a cute little tin like this, but just smaller. And those colors, I believe, are like the most essential of that brand. They're all very bright. They're all very flowy, wonderful colors. But anyway, I have all my core colors in pans. I have full pans for the colors I want to dip a bigger brush into or that I use more often, and then half pans for the rest. And I really like this brand. I should use this one more because this one has a lot of flow, great personality, beautiful colors, and they're actually USA made as well. So highly recommend this brand. I really need to use them more. I think it's maybe because I don't reach for this palette because it's always on the bottom of a stack, you know, the way they have it stored. I probably just need to look at maybe storing my paints differently. I don't know. I have so many, it's hard to store them and have them all very accessible. I mean, they're all pretty accessible, but these are great. I highly recommend these. Good paints. They can be a little expensive, but those introductory sets are actually pretty affordable. So if you go that way, that's what I did. And I have a few tubes that are on their own. I bought the introductory sets myself. The 6 sets, I bought all 3 of the 6 sets, and I bought the 12 set. I think that's how it went. Or maybe if there was I'm trying to see, how many do I have in here? Let's see, if there were 6 and 6 and 6 and 12. Yeah, that makes sense. And I had I got 3 open stock tubes, I think, from Core. They sent me a couple to review. But yeah, I bought them first, so yeah, totally worth the purchase, in my opinion. And then the last 2 artist grade paints I have, I think they're the last 2 artist grade ones. Maybe we might come across a gem, we might come across a treasure. But I've got Schminka, and I have a combination of the Nomad and Academy sets here. And the only Schminka paints that I've purchased have been the Whiskey Painter set. Somebody from Schminka sent me a set of 12, or not a set, but 12 tubes, 5 ml tubes of different colors. I like the tubes much better than what was in that Whiskey Painter set that I had, so I did add some of those tubes that I had in here in half pans into that set. I didn't pour new ones because I'm like, I'm just going to take them out of here because I rarely ever use this set. Their Academy paint is pretty good. It's a student grade paint, but you know, I don't like it as much as other student grade paints. If I was going to pick a student grade paint, I think Van Gogh or Sennelier I prefer, but they're not bad. I just feel like they're kind of flat. They don't have the personality that compared to other paints, in my opinion, although some of the Schminka tubes I really liked. But in general, and I like the super granulating colors, but in general, they didn't knock my socks off. I think they're fine. I think they're solid quality. Maybe they're just a little too traditional. I don't know. But anyway, I have both brands. These palettes are so sharp, though. I think I don't reach for this paint because I have filed down the edges just to try to take some of the sharpness off. And this was the tin that the Academy came in. It's like I can't imagine giving this to a kid or a young adult or a teenager because it's just so sharp. But anyway, that's an example of the colors. They're plenty bright. They just lack a little bit of a personality to me, and can't really explain what it is. But there's just something about the Schminka paints that don't wow me, and I don't know what it is, because I mean, it's funny, like some paints just like float your boat and others don't, and I think it's just kind of personal preference. Just like you get along with some people and some people you don't get along with, and I think that's the deal with those paints. This is Luca's set of 12 artist grade paints. Great paints. I don't love all the color. I don't love this assortment as much as other assortments from them. But it's a good way to try out the brand. Now see, this has the unfinished edges, but it's not as sharp. I don't know what it is about that Schminka tin that makes it so sharp. But Lucas is from Germany, so that could be why they have the same tins. I don't know. Or the same sharpness. They just love to cut people. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they're just more responsible over there. They can handle it. All right, so I think that gets us through the artist grade paints. So let me go to the student grade ones, and we're going to start off with a bunch of paints that are the same. One of these things is just like the other. Come on, can you guess which one? Now this is, well, I've kind of, there's a word I want to use, but it's not PC. Not PC, but it's just not a YouTube appropriate word. I have combined a bunch of these sets with other things to make them more useful, I should say. So I've got a bunch of the Primo Marketing confections sets, and I've just added other things to them to make them a little bit more versatile. I love the, probably my favorite is the Decadent Pies, and it's great for like portraits. It's great for if you go to life drawing class, and it's also great for landscape, like travel plein air painting. And I added a few other colors to it just to make it a little bit more mixable. Like I added a phthalo green, I added some more yellows, a magenta, you know, just some other stuff to make it a little more versatile. To the classics, I added some random half pans apparently. I think those might be Cotman, I don't know. No, it's not Cotman, I don't know. I think I might have added, forget it, I don't know what I added. Maybe, oh, Lucas Studio maybe, and some Yarka. I didn't care for this palette on its own that much. It needed something else. It was just a little too Crayola looking to me. Tropical set's a great mixing set. Now all of these paints that I'm showing you here, not the center, those are Yarkas in the middle. All of these Prima color confection sets are actually by Mungyo, and they're white labeled, Mungyo white labels for a lot. These are the shimmering lights, and I think oh, you know what? I don't know if I bought any of the Prima ones, or if they were sent to me from Prima or Hallmark Scrapbook. I think I might have bought the tropical set, but I think the other ones might have been sent to me. It's a long time ago. I don't remember. I know I wouldn't have bought those because they're all too samey. Those were a disappointment in my opinion. The pastel set, it's okay. It's okay. It's I prefer the Derwent pastels. I added some other stuff too. I think that was a Lucas. Yep, that was a Lucas stuff I was not that happy with, but I'm like, in that assortment I think it would be fine. I added some M. Graham gouache to it as well. It's, you know, I don't know. They weren't really that pastel to me. Jane Davenport had 3 sets. This is my least favorite of the Jane Davenport. That's a Sieglitz. She actually sent that one to me, and I added some extra pans in the middle. This one has too many greens. The tin is so cute. It's almost like there was like, she had those other 2 sets which were really well thought out and wonderful, and then she did this third one like using other colors that she also wanted to add, you know, so this kind of like augments the other 2 sets, but on its own isn't that useful, I don't think. But man, it's not a cute tin. So these are the 2, I bought these right when they first came out, and I really enjoy these. This is a great one for figure and portraits. These are all warm undertoned colors. They mix well for portraits and for like pastries and things like that. I added a cool red to it because I really like to use a cool red a lot, even in portraits, so I added that to it. The Paint Till You Faint palette, so this is the gold one. I really like that one, and I like the cool tones. These are all cool undertoned colors. You can see they travel a little bit, which is something you also see with Mungyo paints. But yeah, very vibrant, very transparent. The pigments in all of these Mungyo made colors, or allegedly Mungyo made colors, are a bit dodgy. This is the Paper Fashion Basics. That was another American Crafts paint set. So the Prima and the American Craft paint sets, they all seem to use the same source, which I believe is Mungyo. I'm like 99.9% sure. That's a fun assortment of colors. It's not the most useful assortment of colors, but it is fun. And sometimes I like to just grab a palette that's pre-selected, and I enjoy using them. But those are all together in here. You do have to be careful having them on their sides though, especially in the summer. And I swatched them out like this just so I could see at a glance what's in what palette, what originally came in each palette anyway. I can see what's originally in each one. Now I did compare the pigments from those sets to the Mungyo pigments, and they're all the same. They're the same. They're the same. I would, you know, if you told me they weren't made by the same company, I'd eat my hat. I wouldn't really eat my hat. I don't have a hat. I'm not wearing one. But yeah, this is if you want to save yourself some money, instead of buying all those little pans where you're going to get duplicates, just buy this set of 48 Mungyo colors. And you also need to get the pastel sets are separate, but this is the same stuff. These do not layer that great. They lift up really easily. They seem to have quite a bit of filler or something in them that keeps them from sticking to the paper. So I don't know. They're fine. They're fine. They're lovely. They are the same as these paints. They're a lot of flow. They're gorgeous. If you like a flowy paint, they're great for loose florals, that sort of thing. They're a very flowy, liftable paint. If you like that, great. If you like to do a lot of glazing, these are going to really frustrate you. But as far as like cheap and cheerful, man, these are the way to go. Fun for card making, scrapbooking. Anytime you want some real punchy, flowy watercolors that aren't very expensive, this is really the one to get. I had a gift card to Amazon and I bought this for $38 or $40, somewhere around there. I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And although I haven't used it that much, I don't think it was a waste of money or a waste of gift card, because it's a, you know, it's for what it is. It's fun. It's a fun little watercolor set. And as long as you know what you're getting, then I think you'll be happy. If you're expecting to get artist quality, you're not going to be happy. This is like definitely like a craft quality type product. I'm running out of space here. My goodness gracious. Okay, so next up, let's see. Let's grab this little stack over here. Oh my, so many paints. This is probably my recommendation for a budget watercolor. This is the Pretty Excellent watercolor set of 36. Gorgeous, vibrant colors. I'm assuming they're still the same. I bought this back in, I think, 2017. 2017 was a big year for me in watercolor palettes, apparently. But these are great, super transparent. They layer really well. Some colors have some granulation. They're just a steal. Now they actually have their own half pans they come in, so that's a little bit nicer. I don't know if the formula's changed or not, but they have come out with a 36 set. And I think it was Kimberly Crick had compared this set, with the 48 set, and noticed that some of the colors were a little different and reacted to blacklight. So they may have some dyes in the newer versions of them, so maybe they're not the same quality. I paid $20 for the gift card for this. I bought it in the same order as that one, actually. And they go on sale sometimes for like 17 bucks, but the price has gone up to maybe $24. But I still think it's a great value, as long as the quality hasn't changed. So if anybody's tried it recently and it's different, let me know. This is the same to these two, and I bought these because I liked them so much, and they were a steal. And yellow palette and a pink palette, because I have impulse control problems. So this palette here by Owen, the same company as Paul Rubens, and Pretty Excellent. Owen is like the parent company. They have the same colors, same identical colors, just in these larger pans, and it's a set of 36. And I just thought this is a real flimsy palette, but I thought this was a great deal. It came with some postcards to paint. The colors were gorgeous, and same quality is Pretty Excellent. But I like that, and I thought for teaching this would be excellent. It'd be pretty excellent, waka waka waka, to use. And I bought that, and I think it was like 20 bucks. And then it went on sale for like $16, or there was a coupon or something, so they were like $16. And I think they just got a big closeout, because I've seen these for $65 on AliExpress, so I think they must have just closed out a bunch. Or maybe they had some problems with the palettes not latching or getting scuffed up. The boxes were a little damaged, but I haven't even opened this one up. It's just a backup, but these are just, I think it's a great deal. I haven't seen the 36s for sale back on Amazon. I think they were just closing out. I think it was just trying to get rid of stuff. I bought this thinking I might actually give it as a gift, but the box was a little too banged up, so I decided to save it as a just as a backup for teaching and whatnot. So the lies we tell ourselves in order to buy more products. Okay, what else? So those are pretty much the same as each other. And then I'm trying to kind of combine things that are similar to each other so you don't end up buying the same thing twice. These are probably another one of my recommended student grade set. These are not as cheap as the Pretty Excellent, but I also think they're a little bit better quality. These are the Sennelier Le Petit Aquarelle set of 24 half pans. They are wonderful. Honestly, I use these side by side with Sennelier Artist Grade, and I could not tell the difference. I'm not saying they're the same, but I am saying that these perform like a champ, and they're really wonderful. They have a cloth like band on there for holding if you want. I usually don't do that, but lots of mixing space. This comes out for cleaning if you want, and you can fit a whole other row of pans in there if you want to, or a brush or whatever. These are not in their own half pans. They're plopped right in, and you can see they just kind of melt into place, so you're not moving them and rearranging them after you buy them. They're pretty much set there. But they are an extruded half pan. I think they're a great deal, and I highly recommend them. I think I just had the sap green in there. I was just storing it because I didn't know what else to, didn't have another place to put it. So sometimes I'll store random paints in there, but these are great. These are wonderful. I don't know how long these little latches are going to hold up on the box, but it's great paint, and I do recommend it. I'm hoping I can just move this over here and not get sidetracked. There's some really nice colors in this set, but the set in general I don't recommend. This is the Altenew set of 12. They call them half pans. They're weird. They're almost like a poster color, but some of the colors are nice, but some are chalky and really dye-based looking. But I kept them because I really love that teal, and I love that green. And I thought the tin was nice, and I think I might repurpose the tin. But the paints themselves are nothing to write home about. They're not very expensive. I think they're like 16 bucks. But the paint is definitely not worth $16. But the tin is kind of cute, and that's why I kept it. And this was sent to me to review for free. This is the set that I rebought. It was $5, but this paint is way better than the Altenew stuff. And it's in a plastic tin. You can buy this under the Lucas brand name. You can buy it under the Arteza brand name. It's one of those white labeled products made by Phoenix. But great quality. Honestly, I would get this for a kids class because you can take these little pans out and like pass them around a table and have a bunch of kids using one set. So yeah, I think they're great for kids. For obviously, is it non-toxic? I don't know if it's non-toxic or not. Even if it said non-toxic, I don't know if I'd, necessarily stake my reputation on it. But I will say they're a beautiful color. They have a little bit of chalkiness to them, but they're still super vibrant and gorgeous. And I recommend them so much that I bought them again after I gave away my first set. So Ocean State Job Lot, baby. I would, for $5, they're a great deal. I don't know if I pay like 20. I see them 20 sometimes for different brands, but people will try to get what they can get for stuff. Can't blame them, I guess. This is Grumbacher Academy tube paints. These are a decent student grade paint. I mean, yeah, I'd recommend them in tubes. You can get them at a lot of different stores, different big box stores. They're worth it. They're totally worth it. I like them better than Schminka Academy. I kind of wondered if they're the same thing because I haven't used Schminka Academy in tubes. And the company that distributes Schminka and Grumbacher in America are the same. So I have a feeling they might be somewhat call art, I believe. I think they might be somewhat related. Should we go to more Phoenix? Oh, I already showed you the Phoenix Cotman equivalent. I have a half pan thing. Let's just grab the next thing, honestly. It's late. There's pizza waiting for me upstairs. Get the show on the road. These are the konmari paints by Mozart, or Mozart. I don't know how they pronounce it, but just the way they write it out, I want to say Mozart. They're decent. They're kind of like a Ganzai similar paint. They've got neons. They got metallics. The colors are nice. I don't use them that much, but I think they're really nice. Becca Hilburn over at Natto Soup uses these a ton for her illustrations. She loves them. And they're cheap. They're around 20 bucks, $21, $22 for this set. I mean, just for the empty tin and full pans, that would probably run you 21 bucks. So the paint's decent too. I don't think I call them artist quality, but they definitely feel like a Gansai Tambi paint kind of, in a more convenient half pan size if you prefer that. I recommend them. Let's see. These next two might be tough to find, but sometimes they show up. Sometimes they show up on Amazon. This is the Mission Silver class. These are great. The pans are bigger than the gold class. The quality is wonderful, but I assume they just use cheaper pigments. And you can see they do travel. You gotta make sure you store them flat. Not great for humid environments. That, no, the yellow kind of split across and got into this green color. So I did have to do a little paint surgery. But They're nice. They'll probably use up a little faster than their gold class paints, but I don't think Mission Gold really makes a bad product, to be honest. These are really nice. And I like how they have these in there. I don't know why they have these in there. I use it to protect my swatch, but you could actually take these out and you could use them for extra mixing space. So I like them. They're student grade paint. They are kind of expensive though for student grade. So, but if you find them on a deal, I think there's 20 in this set, and I don't know what it retails for. It was sent to me for review from Mission Gold or from Crush On, one of their distributors. So I have no idea what it costs, but I've seen the 12 pans recently online. But because the Mission Gold's not that expensive currently for Americans, I would go with the Mission Gold, but these are good too. This one's a curious one. I was trying to figure out who made these, and I was thinking it might be Superior, and I still think it might be, but I'm not entirely sure. The colors are nice and clean. They do have a little bit of a sheen on them. I don't use them that much because it's a lot of colors. I don't know. You can find them. They were out of stock for a long time. I can't remember what they go for. These were sent to me for review. I like them better than they kind of look like the koi watercolors, but I like these a little bit better. They're less chalky than the koi, but they have less flow. They're okay. I wouldn't spend a lot of money on them. I think there's better paint out there, but they're not bad. And it's a kind of unique set. I like this big mixing area that it has. It's a weird tin. It's kind of flimsy. It came with some water brushes, I think. And it's got like a little plastic gasket on there. I don't know. It's kind of strange. It's kind of strange and awkward, but I kind of like it because I'm kind of strange and awkward too. Art and Fly, set of 72. Sometimes it's in stock. A lot of times it's out of stock. It's a weirdo. It's a weirdo palette. I don't know what's going on. That company got bought recently, so that could be why. Let's go to this tried and true palette. This is my old Cotman studio set. I got this back in the late 90s. It's a wonderful little set. I've refilled some of the pans, and here's where I put the portable painter pans in the little gusset there because I have some vintage Cotman colors I put in there. I do think that the quality's gone downhill on Cotman slightly over the years. Mainly the big deal is they used to have several series in the Cotman line. They would have Series A and Series B or 1 and 2 or something, but they had a series that was more expensive that contained cobalts, real cadmiums, and more expensive pigments. And they discontinued that to do a uniformly priced range. Like most student grade paints are uniformly priced. I think that was a mistake. I don't like it, but I think it might have something to do with European standards and cadmium paints, maybe? I don't know, or maybe they're just trying to save a buck. That could be it. But these were made in France originally, now they're made in China. And I'm not sure, they might have even been made in England originally. I'm trying to see one of these older, if it tells where it's made. It doesn't, but this is like actual cobalt blue. It's got an actual cerulean blue. You know, I mean, they went downhill. This was a great set. It still is a great set, but I think if you buy the studio set of 24 now, which was the American large palette set that they had, you're not going to get several of these colors. You're going to get the new versions, but it's really a shame because I really like the old ones. This is a nice palette, but there you have it. This was fun. I painted a lot with this one, and I have a lot of good memories. A lot of good memories with that. This is the, when I purchased this, it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And the big year of palette purchasing, apparently. I've taken out some of these because they were doubles. This is the set of 40. You get 45, but 5 are duplicates because they only have 40 colors in the range currently. And it's made in China now. It used to be made in France, and I think it used to be made in England before that. But anyways, they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're, you know, they're a solid paint, but I think they're the same as the Phoenix. I think they're made by Phoenix in China now, and they used to be made by Winsor Newton. But they're branded by Winsor Newton, and, you know, they're fine. They're decent. But you can get the Phoenix version for less. And if I mag together, I'll be able to find that Phoenix version. In fact, I'm going to pause and see if I can find that one. Well, if it was a bear, it would have bit me. It was right there, right next to me. You would have, if the camera was a wider angle, you would have been yelling at me, Lindsay, it's right there. So this is the same paint. In my opinion, I can't really say definitively because I don't want to be sued, but this is the same paint plus 8 new colors. So even if you look at the brochure, which I have a whole video comparing the Phoenix artist grade and the Cotman paints, if you're to look at the brochure, pigment information is identical. light fast rating is identical on the 40 colors that overlap the 40 colors in the Cotman range. And then the extra 8 colors don't have a light fast rating. And I don't think they have a pigment rating either. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Phoenix is making their paints now. Equivalent quality, same thing. These are cheaper and you get more. So this set usually goes for around $40 and you get 48 colors. The other one goes for like $65 and you get for 45 pans, but 5 are duplicates. So, and you get a metal tin here, that's a plastic tin. This is the kind of a trim 48. It's a little bit smaller than your typical 48 palette. Let me just show you. But yeah, I think I paid around $30 for this because I got it on Prime Day. You'll just see the difference in size. So it is a nice compact little tin for 48 colors. And I paid $50 for the Cotman set of 45, which 5 are duplicates. But now it's like $65. It's gone up since then. So my money I would say go for this if you really like Cotman colors and you want all the colors plus a few more. It's a good deal. The Phoenix paints, their artist grade Phoenix paints are equivalent to Cotman from Winsor Newton. They come in tubes and they come in half pans, but you need to get the artist quality. Their regular ones that they call artist watercolors are garbage. You've got to get the ones that are like master quality or artist quality. They're more expensive. Don't get the set of 24 for $10. That's garbage. You want to get the artist quality ones. But yeah, I have reviews. You can go check those out, and there'll be links to the proper paints unless they change them. It should be good. So this here is Artify. These are nice. These are actually, I think, made by Superior. I haven't seen this set of 48 since I got them, but here's the telltale sign that it's a Superior paint, the cracking. That's just something I've seen a lot lately. A lot more with the recent sets like these versus the older sets, but just like those thin ribbons of paint, you get that cracking. So that's how you know it's a Superior set. In my opinion, obviously I don't want to be sued, and I can't say for sure, but with all of my deductions and my experience, I have determined that those are the same as Superior. And I have a few other sets that are Superior that are made by them as well. If I can put my hands on them, I will be good. I think altoids is. And we've got the cracking. We've got a very similar color payout. I like them. I like them fine. They're more expensive, so you might want to think twice. But these go on sale sometimes, and I would say absolutely. And the tin is super cute. But yep, I would say these are made by Superior. And these artsy, these used to be like $20, and these were sent to me for review. Actually, all of these were sent to me for review. So just to be completely honest, but I've seen these go on sale. Somebody told me they paid $8 for this set. And I'm like, I don't know how they made it for $20, let alone $8. Mine doesn't have any cracking, but other people had said that they bought them cheaper and they cracked. So I'm thinking that maybe these are older. These are a few years old. These are older than the Altenew, and older than the Artify. So I'm thinking that there's a binder change from the Superior paints. So they're not as good as Paul Rubens. I know the packaging is so very similar, but they are not as good as Paul Rubens. I think they tried to copy the Paul Rubens packaging because Paul Rubens has more of a reputation of higher quality, but they're good. They're not as good as Paul Rubens, but they are good. And I might have other ones that are Superior, but it's not ringing a bell. These are very similar to, and I would say they're probably made by the same company that makes Cotman. These Mia Himi paints. This is a quirky little weird palette, but I really kind of love it. The colors are nice and vibrant, and I would say they're equivalent to Cotman, very similar to Cotman. If they're not made by the same company, they are just very good duplications because they're very close. But they're nice, they're fun, they're different, but they perform pretty well. If you like Cotman, these are cheaper. These are like, I've seen these going now for like, they were $20 when I got these. These were sent to me from the company. I think they were sent to me from Artsy. I don't know. Companies will sell different things under their brand names. But yeah, I've seen this set go for like $10, $12, $13. So I don't know. Maybe they've changed the quality, but it's kind of hard to believe that they could sell them for that cheap. Let's see. I want to get the regular pans. And you know what I'm not seeing? Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, I have so many stacks. But yeah. I'm going to try to keep stuff organized, but oh my, I have no idea how long this video is. This paint set here is by Paul Rubens. It's a student full pan set. And this is really curious because these color numbers, colors, everything are a spitting image of, and I'm going to probably risk toppling, I'm toppling a stack here. These are identical to the Sonnet watercolors. So both of these sets were sent to me for review. This was sent to me by Pro Art Supplies on Etsy, and this was sent to me by Paul Rubens or Light Wish. The colors are identical. It's the weirdest thing. The colors are identical. The names and numbers are identical. I mean, look at that. Identical. The numbers are identical. So, and they paint out identically. So I'm thinking that Paul Rubens might have private labeled these through the White Knights Company or Naviska Palitra, or vice versa, because it's too canny, it's too uncanny, they're too similar, it's weird. But anyway, I like them both. I think they're a great student set. I think they probably go for around $25 a set. I see a very similar set from Rosa too, so it kind of makes me wonder if they're all being made by the same company. But I do recommend them. They're good quality. You get full pans. There are some there's pigment information, and some of the pigments are not light fast. So it's up to you whether you want to go down that route or not. But they're not bad. All right, so I want to get through all of the regular types of colors, but oh my word, this is ridiculous. I feel like it's like, oh my gosh, oh, I just had a spill. I feel like this is like Scared Straight for like incoming watercolors. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't think I want to go down that rabbit hole. All right, we're going to go blow through these quickly because they are all student grade. Okay, this is Meaden. Don't recommend. Very bland, blah. They're fine. They're fine, but I wouldn't pay 30 bucks for them. That's how much they cost. They were sent to me to review, but I don't think it's worth 30 bucks. I like their empty palettes though, and I've liked other things I bought by Meaden. I think Meaden's a good company. They sell great palettes, but I would pass. I would pass on that. This set here, this set of 48 Doodle Hog paints, I would pass on these. The quality of this is like master's touch, and they smell when you paint with them. They have a chemical smell. They're okay, but not great. I paid $16 for this on Amazon, but I mean, oh, the smell, just opening it up, the smell. And its sister palette is, nope, that's not it. I don't know. I might have gotten rid of it actually. But anyways, it's the same as Master's Touch, and I don't recommend those either. And I would have at one point, but now there's just so many better paints for that price that I wouldn't. Art Whale tubes, I do recommend these. These are a great deal, and you can find them. Sometimes they go on sale. It's usually about 40 bucks for 24 colors, but there's always coupons, so you can pay between like $25, $30. It's a good deal for that. The paints are wonderful. They're made by Superior. So it's another Superior saves the day type situation. This set of 36 Doodle Hogs, I believe, are made by Superior, but I don't know if they're still made by Superior because the 48 set is not. It's kind of a weird, like, they didn't even know. I actually contacted the company and I said, I bought the 48 set and the 36 set is much better. It's a different quality altogether. They sent me the 36 set with some other products because I did a job for them. But these were wonderful. But look at all the flaking. It's got the telltale Superior flake job there. So yeah, but these paint out so much nicer. They're so much more transparent. That's the Doodle Hog 36 set. But I don't know if you're still going to get that set because they don't. If they are not sure what manufacturer they're getting it from, that's the thing. You can never really trust you're going to get the same thing over and over again with these brands. Art Whale, again, it's another Superior one. Some people are saying they're the same as Paul Rubens. These are not the same as Paul Rubens. If I can get that Paul Rubens palette, I can show you, because a lot of people are swearing the Superior and Paul Rubens were the same. Oh, where is it? Oh my gosh, it's such chaos. Here it is. I want to compare those swatches though, so that you're not fooled. These are the Paul Rubens. These are the Art Whale. I mean, just look at the teal versus teal. Paul Rubens, art whales, not the same. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that if you were thinking you were going to save $1, and also you get the shiny spots on the superior ones. Although these seem to be a better quality than some of the other ones that had that flakiness issue. The art whales aren't having the flakiness issue. So I think I paid $24 for that. I did buy it with my own money. And I don't regret it, but honestly, I haven't really used it since I bought it. It was kind of like a curiosity. I had a problem with Prime Day that year. I was just like, you know, making it rain at Amazon, apparently, buying all kinds of stuff. This was a set of, it came with a palette and watercolors from Paul Rubens. Unfortunately, you can't buy it anymore. It like went out of stock right after it came out, and it's been gone ever since. And it's such a wonderful set. Very layerable, transparent, gorgeous colors, but sadly, it is no longer available. That's a sad thing about doing one of these tours. It's like, I'm telling you about all this great stuff that you can't get anymore, so it's kind of a bummer. What else do I have over here? Oh gosh. This I think is, yes, Paul Rubens 36 student set. They're okay. But you know, Paul Rubens paint's pretty affordable. Their artist grade is so much better than this that I don't really recommend them. But they're not bad. They dry down fine. They're fine. But they're definitely not as good as the Paul Rubens artist grade, and I love the Paul Rubens artist grade. So I would pass on their student grade. There's better options for that price. And they were sent to me for review. This is Pagos, and it comes in a gift set with a bunch of other stuff. Honestly, they were really fun to paint with, and I liked what I painted with them. I think it was $40. They sent it to me to review, and it came with brushes and paper and a bunch of other doodads. I thought it was a nice little kit, and I think it would get somebody started off right in watercolor, but I haven't really used it since I first got it, but I like some of the texture and some of the colors. They were fun to use, but I don't know. I think for $40 you could probably do a little bit better with your money. Let's see. Oh, this is camel watercolors. I actually really like the camel watercolors. These are like, however big that set is, for I think it was like $14. They're wonderful. They dry down great. They smell a little bit when you first pour them out, but after they dry down, they're wonderful. They're a great deal. They're made in India, and you can find them on Amazon. I highly recommend them. I feel like they act a lot like Winsor Newton, but for the price, they're great. And the smell goes away. After you first pour them, then the smell disappears. They're a wonderful little gem. I actually sent the tubes off to a friend of mine to try them out. But yeah, I would recommend these, absolutely. You really can't beat the price and for the quality. And I'm so glad that there's good affordable art supplies in countries where they don't have access to a lot of different things. We're almost to the metallic watercolors, which thank goodness are not as big. This is the Paul Rubens opaque watercolors. I don't recommend them. They have too many issues with binder and whatnot. So personally, I would say pass on these until they get those issues worked out. But otherwise, I thought they were fine to paint with. But yeah, it was frustrating to have those binder issues, and they don't drag down the palettes very well. So I have them in here, but I don't know if I'll use them up or not. They're kind of frustrating because they want to migrate. And then this is the Paul Rubens guac eye paint, and I bagged it up because it actually stunk. But I like it all right. It's fine. It's like a Chinese style paint. Not my favorite type of paint, but not bad. All right, metallics. These are really wonderful. These are the Arctic's metallic watercolors. Very shiny, but very pricey, and I don't really think they're worth the price. So I think they're going for like $40. I think that's too much. But they are nice paints. So hey, if you see a deal, you have my blessing. These are ones I made using some pigment powders, and I have a video on that. And here is a little swatch of the paints I made. And I think I might put those Renaissance paints, or Renaissance paints in here. But those are my homemade ones. I think they look really nice. And I made them and haven't used them, but I made this tin, and I think the tin is awfully cute. oh gosh. These are Arteza, and I don't recommend them. The tube watercolors are alright, but they don't dry down very well. I had to put a lot of glycerin in there. But the half pans are very, very meh, very boring. And I used the tin, that's the tin I just painted for my handmade paints. I don't recommend them. They don't have a good enough color assortment, and I don't think the quality is that great, so I would not go for the Artisan watercolors. The tubes are alright, but the half pans were disappointing. Okay, and then Altitude metallic watercolors. I liked these. I think that the tin was kind of rusting. Look at that reflection though, the great reflectability. They're really nice, good color assortment. I like the colors they picked. Actually, there was a bit of a rusting issue in the tin, but it hasn't really affected anything. I would recommend these. I like the full pans because then you can get a big brush in there. They're nice and opaque, great for lettering. I would say, yeah, absolutely. I would recommend the Altitude ones. These were sent to me for free for review as well. I think probably most of these metallic ones were. Let's see. Here we have, these are like the Prima watercolors. They're sold under a bunch of different names. I don't know what happened there. I think they got like, I don't know, sucked in some moisture from the air, but that's what those look like. And this is just the set of 12. But they're on, you can find these under all kinds of different names on Amazon. They're a white label thingy. But they're not bad. Can't complain, I like them. Don't use them very much because, oh yeah, I need an intervention probably, but I don't use metallic watercolors all that much. So before you start planning my intervention, this is my favorite metallic watercolors. Right here, Paul Rubens. I have a set of 12 and 24. I got the 24 set first, and then when they came out with this, they sent it to me to review. They're gorgeous. Do I have a swatch? I'm not going to show you the 12 set because you've probably seen it in a million videos, and it's just like this but smaller. But that's our color palette. Gorgeous. Actually, I'd recommend the 24 set over the 48 set because there's so much variety, and I usually just grab my 24 set because it's got everything I need. So I hardly ever use this one because I'm always using my 24 set. So that's what I would recommend. And then Artsy, so I've got a Paul Rubens and I've got an Artsy. I'm not going to open those up because, oh my gosh, it's been 4 years since we started this video. And let's see the Artsy one because the other one's just a smaller tin. It's the same thing, just smaller. And we've got, I've compared the Artsy and the Paul Rubens in another video. I haven't, oh, you know what, I haven't even opened that one. Really? That's weird. Probably had some other stuff I need to review for them, and I got to that, and then, oh, I think that might have, like, maybe got discontinued or not sold again, so I'll show you the smaller one. Pretty tin. There's that. Where's my swatches? Right here. I'll show you the swatches. But yeah, if you want to see how they compare to Paul Rubens, you can see it on the other video. They're not as shiny. They're nice. They're nice, but definitely not as much of a shiny color payoff as the Paul Rubens, in real life anyway. But they're fine. They're fine. They're cheaper. They're quite a bit cheaper, as I recall. But again, those were also sent for review. And yeah, I'll probably use them in classes. You know, they'd be great in crafts classes to do like stamping and add some glitter to something, or hand lettering. I don't teach hand lettering, but some people like to do it. But is that it? Did we get through it all? I'm just kind of taking a glance around. I hope I haven't missed a stack of something, but no, I think I've got through everything. Oh, I hope so. It's plenty. There's plenty. Yeah, so the only thing I didn't show you was this 24 set. It's the same Paul Rubens tin, just, you know, it's a little more used because that's the one I grab. It's usually right in the drawer next to where I sit, but great colors. That's the one I would recommend probably. Not too expensive, and you get such a great variety. But anyway, this has been fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. I feel like I need to drink a gallon of water because I've been talking nonstop for, I don't know, 2 hours. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. But anyway, I hope that this satisfied your curiosity, and please don't leave hate. Hopefully if you're a hate leaver, you didn't watch the video. But yeah, and then I've got tubes. I've got tubes for days, and I probably don't need to buy another tube of watercolor because I think I could probably paint for the rest of my life, zombie apocalypse and all, and have plenty. So yeah, I feel a little ashamed of myself, to be honest. Do the walk of shame. But it's all in good fun. And I enjoy my collection. And yet feel a little chastened by sharing it. I don't know. But definitely proves to myself that I can put the brakes on. Actually, you know, a lot of this stuff, though, was purchased in 2016, 2017, and I think from then on, a lot of this stuff has been sent to me for review. And the things that I've purchased has been more of like the high-end legacy brand stuff, or a tube here and a tube there. So, you know, I think I've gotten smarter about things. You know, when I did the KonMari method in 2017, I think that was probably, I don't think I've really done much purchasing willy-nilly since then, unless it was something requested by a viewer to review. So I think I have grown. I have grown as my palette collection has grown. I've grown more. I don't know. Deep Thoughts with Lindsay Weirich. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. We'll see you next time. Happy crafting.